Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones.
It's the time of the season.
Well, the U.S. Senate is set to vote any time now. Of course, they're late on the government shutdown that we're now into, day 4 of. And I've analyzed this. It's not hard to analyze. It's an absolute fact. It's the Democrats that voted to shut the government down. It's Democrats that are basically globalists, holding the country hostage, saying we have to acquiesce the border being completely open, or we're all evil, horrible racist. And that dovetails with the one thing that can get me stuck at my computer or my television for 4 or 5 hours. Not movies, not dramas, not Netflix binges. Don't do it. Other than on the treadmill or the elliptical. Then I might watch an hour of a show. I spent hours yesterday and hours this morning I didn't have, but still it was very informative, watching footage shot in Austin over the weekend, footage shot in L.A. over the weekend, and footage shot in New York. I was watching live feeds. I was watching archives of it. And then the crew uploaded like 50 videos or something yesterday that they hadn't been able to get up. And I'm watching these. We're not cherry-picking leftists at the Women's March spitting on women. We're not cherry-picking people running up to Millie Weaver in her face and farting on her. Grown men. This is hour after hour after hour of a lunatic asylum. You don't go out to conservative rallies and get treated like this. I mean, the mentally ill scumbag KKK doesn't act like this. These people are certifiably nuts. And it's beyond Trump derangement syndrome. We also noticed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cups, and we went up and videotaped them in both cities, and it was all extreme soy latte. These are men addicted to estrogen. It's bizarre. It's chemical. And again, people say, oh, well, some InfoWars Life products say may contain soy. That's because it's in factories that have it. And they use some of the protein from that and rice on the conveyor belts so that things don't stick as an anti-clotting agent. And that's regular soy, and it's microscopic. What they put in the modern soy products is they take the whole soybean, and the core of it's pure plant estrogen. And they process that, and then you get that. You're not supposed to eat that. You could eat some soy in your diet. Occasionally, I'll get some pure tofu and eat it in a stir fry or something because it's all part of a balance. We're meant to eat some plant estrogens. That's normal because there's also testosterone and stuff in meat and other hormones. So it all balances out, but not when these men are addicted to it, and they talk about how they're addicted to it and they're obsessed on it. So we're going to play some of these videos coming up today as well. But also, these people don't look well. Black, white, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. They look like goblins. And we discovered more horrific goblin creatures. The women act like goblins. The men act like goblins. And it's getting worse. So that's all coming up. Also, I cut a little song this morning. I don't know if it'll be ready today to go with Conan O'Brien's big report that's on Infowars.com. It's totally blown up in his face spectacularly. Conan O'Brien claims Haiti is beautiful after visiting a luxury tourist resort that's in between a mountain ridge and is still dangerous. He went in for a photo shoot, got in the water, nose keeps his head well above it, though. So there's guaranteed a couple little turds floating by. And he then said it's wondrous and not a crap hole. By the way, I've talked to aid workers, you name it. My crew's been there doing aid. I mean, the locals call it a you-know-what hole because people crap all over the ground. Like Calcutta's a hole. Some areas of India are great. Some areas of Mexico are great. Some of them are holes. Not this bad. But, North Korea is a hellhole. But the virtue signaling of Conan O'Brien has blown up spectacularly in his face. So we're going to put his image to video we shot in Haiti. It's going to be really powerful. Get ready.
You are listening to an Infowars.com frontline report. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
We now take you live
From deep in the heart of FEMA Region 6, Austin, Texas, transmitting worldwide, it's Alex Jones.
We now take you live to the year 2018, January 22nd. On a Monday transmission, the United States is locked in a bitter information-based civil war. Powerful global banks are attempting to ban free speech and are forming paramilitary brigades to go out and intimidate citizens that dare show up on the street. World government is in major decline as world populations discover that it is an unelected, secret, transhumanist, anti-human, eugenics-based technocracy combine. I'm Alex Jones, your host. This is not science fiction. This is not a drill. This is present space-time. Look at this headline. Europe moves ahead with internet censorship enforcement as more platforms join. Google, Facebook, Twitter are all announcing that they will ban anyone criticizing Islam in any way or reporting crime. Next, they're saying mother and father will not be allowed. I'm not joking. It's being announced in the rules. Someone may not have a mother and father. We're going to go into total cult control. And then at your work or your business, you will be intimidated, you will be demoted, you will be fired. You will use the words they say, you will conform, you will submit to the hive mind, or you will be thrown out on the street. Now, they're attempting this authoritarian takeover in the middle of once free societies. It's not going to go well if people simply stand up and say no. So that's coming up. Of course, right now, we can give you some of the ambient noise there in the Senate chamber. They are milling about starting their new vote on the government shutdown. Today would be day number 4. So again, we'll pull that up for TV viewers and radio listeners. We'll put that on
and there were plenty
screen.
Of Republicans in Congress who were willing to have that conversation and vote for that legislation. They didn't do that. And so now if the government shutdown is being held hostage over the DACA demands, which will then lead to further immigration discussions, it's because of that inaction. It used to be Republicans and Democrats. There were differences, but the differences were how you prioritize the most important things, what you saw as being the
So again, you've got C-SPAN itself now even editorializes, instead of letting you hear the background vote, we're being told, I guess, how bad the Republicans are because they aren't letting the globalists and the UN plan to completely erase borders take place. So we'll follow that as that unfolds, as that vote begins. Supposedly going to begin shortly. And again, we're going to be playing some excerpts today, but there's no way to do it justice what the crew did in New York, in Austin, and in Los Angeles. We had crews out in all 3 major leftist fester points, and we went out and we videotaped live and also in HD, which we've now uploaded the HD versions of just vicious, hateful, bullying thugs spitting on women, men squatting and farting on women, women giggling and laughing, all acting very immature. Almost all the men don't have jobs, and they walk behind the woman, and they've replaced stereotypical gender roles, and women wear vests and command everyone and tell men and women, do not talk to them, they're not real, and then people dutifully don't talk to us unless it's the occasional somewhat alpha male, which attacks women and spits on people. See, this guy right here just spit on a woman. Here's the guy farting on Millie Weaver. And again, it's hard to play all this because there's just so much background. F you, scum, we're going to murder you. F you, your family, screw up your children. Just like ravenous demons, like vicious dogs behind a fence. Just, I mean, just the total desire. We're going to control language. Your kids belong to us. We're going to force inoculate you. We're going to force feed you GMO. World government. And they're all on video going, we want no borders, no borders. But they'll set up walls to try to not let people in. They'll block you getting into your event. And a lot of people were physically attacked when Antifa showed up in New York at the Night for Freedom event. And then Bradley Manning showed up. Bradley Manning showed up, formerly Bradley Manning, Chelsea Manning, and came into the event that Cernovich and Owen Schroyer and all these other great people were there. James O'Keefe, the list goes on, Stefan Molyneux. And there's just all video of it. Oh, hi, how you doing? Great to see you. Welcome. Oh, yeah, you want to speak? Oh, no, you don't want to. Chelsea Manning then sends out tweets. These are horrible, homophobic, bigots, scum. And I came to face these vicious people, these pieces of trash. Meanwhile, you go outside, Antifa's throwing urine, attacking police, attacking men, women, children, just screaming, yelling, trying to beat people up. This is just footage in New York at the Women's March itself. And again, there's our reporters just trying to cover it, being spit on, but at nighttime, it's just frothing crowds trying to attack. Oh, hi, Chelsea Manning. Come on in. Hey, welcome. And then Chelsea tweets out, I went and I faced down those white supremacist, homophobe scum myself. Yay! You're like Conan O'Brien. He flew into one of the little isolated areas you've got to get to by barge in between the mountains. I know folks that have been there. It's still real dangerous. There's like 2 little resorts in Haiti where it isn't totally deforested and there's not open sewage everywhere. And, of course, we've sent money and helped, and Trump spent millions sending in a whole bunch of doctors to do thousands and thousands of eye surgeries and things that could really help people. But that doesn't matter. If you just stole $2 billion, 97% of the Haitian money like the Clintons did, then you'd be good. Or if you're like the One Foundation, I guess it's called One because he gives 1% to the African and Caribbean charities, you know, because you show black people at a YouTube concert on international television and say, send your money, whites virtue signal, and they send the money to Bono, who keeps it 99%. And then he virtue signals. But that's okay to rob their money. We just send in plane loads of food and reporters and give 100% of the money we've made directly to them. Not because we're virtue signaling, but because we're actually trying to illustrate what's going on. But see, that doesn't matter that we land on grass airfields the day the hurricane left and someone died taking off from that exact airfield that day. Doesn't matter that evil whiteys were there dying. If they would have just gone and drank out of a coconut, and you know, and don't get too close to the black people. He's about 50 yards away, according to Conan, you know, because I think you should get close to him. But you know, he's a liberal Trinity. He doesn't get too close. And there he is about 50 yards away for his nice photo op, in and out, the one spot you can get into, no doubt armed guards on the beach. Boop, boop, in, out, drink your coconut and say, Haiti is truly a beautiful country. Hashtag Conan Haiti. And it's all been taken over, putting him in images on Infowars.com, where he actually would be if he was actually in Haiti, looking at what's going on. You go to our story on Infowars.com. We can scroll through it and see where Twitter sphere and the internet has gone absolutely crazy, taking Conan O'Brien's photo and photoshopping it into the supposed lovely scenes. It's just go, I guess, go camera shot right there. Yeah, we can show folks. There it is. And so people photoshopped him into real scenes there in Haiti. So I suggest everyone go and see that for yourself. And that is exactly what Haiti really looks like. It is unbelievable. Now, as best I know, Sean Penn, who wants to be our savior, actually does give tithe money to Haiti. Remember when he tried to go to Katrina and his boat sank? He couldn't even make the boat work. Well, you know, he goes there and he walks around with a gun, by the way, with a Glock on his side. And I told you, I've talked to Sean Penn before. The guy's literally brain dead. I mean, he's probably got about a 75 IQ. So he doesn't talk. Everybody just stands around and goes, oh, you're so smart. Hollywood goes, he's the genius. He's like, just totally stupid. Hey, but there's some real footage for TV viewers. Is this where Conan O'Brien went? No. He just tells you everything's fine in Haiti. Everything's good. How dare Trump actually try to help Haiti? If he just stole all their money, then it'd be okay.
Discover trends and global developments years before they happen, right here on The Alex Jones Show.
This is going to be an incredible week. Got Davos kicking off. We're going to have President Trump there. We've got mainstream headlines. Newsweek, kill Trump with his own weapon. Protesters march against president ahead of Davos. Kill Trump is the name of the march. And there's Newsweek promoting it. Davos 2018, Donald Trump delivers special address at World Economic Forum despite protest. And they're using the right wing to attack Trump, just like they said he was going to sell us out on DACA. He didn't, of course. They're saying, oh, he's going to Davos. He's a globalist. No, his actions are killing globalism, returning power to America, killing TPP, renegotiating NAFTA and GATT, not doing one-sided deals. And you already see the economy roaring back. And that's what this government shutdown is all about, was for the one-year anniversary of his election to not have it be the incredible oxygen that's come back into the room, the big, deep breath of fresh air of hundreds of billions of dollars paid to workers in bonuses and pay increases, the military getting pay increases, 26,000 in the stock market, thousands of companies moving back, the massive tax cuts, the corporations coming back, Apple coming back. Apple's announcing major moves back here and high-paying jobs under U.S. regulations. It won't be suicide nets and forced abortion and drugging the plant workers. It'll be actual Apple factories. Sure, it won't be perfect, but it'll be high-paid comparatively. And the announcement they've made is $350 billion. That was Tim Cook last week. Look, I got to stop right there. They just don't want a discussion of this, as I said last Friday. And that's what Mulvaney, White House spokesman, says Democrats shut down government to avoid talking about Trump's success. Instead, the Schumer right now, they're about to vote in the Senate. And they say, oh, tune in at 11 Central. And then they make you sit there and wait while Schumer and the Democrats, those old, evil, racist mummies who use race baiting to control people, that use third world labor to drive down everybody's wages. I mean, the Democrats have 3 times the money of the Republicans if you stack the wealth up. Just in the Congress, in the House and Senate. Look it up. They've done the math of billionaires. Did you know that 99% of billionaires are, quote, liberal worldwide? They're not liberal. They want global government to control people and to get people dependent so that they don't know how to take care of themselves. So this is what's happening. And as Mulvaney's pointed out, Trump isn't demanding a bunch of stuff. He's ready to compromise. He isn't weaponizing things, saying, you give me exactly what I want because I have the trifecta, or I will do whatever I want. No. They had a deal to legalize 800,000 people. That's what he said back in the campaign. You've lived here for 20-something years. You don't have a criminal record. You were here when you were a young person. We'll make it faster for you to be a citizen, and we'll make it faster for everybody. But the Democrats want it super hard to become a citizen so that you're a permanent underclass they control. But it's blowing up in the Democrats' face right now, so they're starting to say, okay, maybe we will end the shutdown because America sees through it. And I see a lot of hope happening. Zucker was fired at CNN last Friday, as we told you 4 months ago he would. Roger Stone had dinner. They're always accusing Roger of having dinner with the Russians or made up crap. He had dinner with the people and was told it's a done deal. He is gone by January of next year. And he's gone. And suddenly CNN, over the weekend on 3 different shows, this is coming up in the next segment, we might just play it now, said Russiagate is over. Everybody's sick of it. They're tired of it. It's not real. You talk to people out in the middle of the country and all over the country, they're tired of it. They see the economy coming back. There's a real sense that it's really going to come back this time. Well, guess what? This whole country was built on bubbles. China has bubbles 5 to 10 times bigger than ours with more government money put in. We're just simply having a bubble for the people now, and that's a lot better than a total implosion. And I started to look at everybody out there promoting that America's going to implode and that bubbles are bad, but they're all riding the Chinese bubble and invested there. Oh, and I forgot to mention it. The communist Chinese are all over the news, siding with the Democrats in our internal politics, saying the shutdown shows America's economy's bad and we're not going to come back, on and on and on. And they've lowered their taxes to 0 to counter Trump's tax cuts to 15% for corporations. And they're involved paying off all our major universities. That was even in the Washington Post last week. And Twitter, in internal videos, admits they take orders from the Chinese government. They have direct managers that take directives from the People's Party over there, which is an unelected group of dictators, an oligarchy. You can't make this up. China is in our business, folks. They're in their own people's business. You're a Buddhist. They catch you practicing that in your house. You're going to a work camp until somebody wants your organs and you're going to be harvested. But that's liberal. The left would sit there and rip the livers out of those Chinese women and just shove them in their fat mouths if they could. I'm telling you. The left loves power. Raw evil. And they get every sycophantic, cowardly scumbag who wants to have a piece of the power to get in there and screw everybody over till the automated technocracy's in place. And these idiots and all these underground Twitter videos, Project Veritas, all go, we're putting in automation now and it'll be much easier. You won't be there anymore, dumbass. It's going automated, fool. So again, Trump's going to be in Davos in 3 days. We're going to be covering it all. I said I was going to send a crew, but I just don't think I have the capital, quite frankly. I only put up a donate button. People want to give us, $20,000 to send a crew there. It's very expensive. To even get in, it's like $100,000, but we'd be on the outskirts covering it. It'd be very important. Maybe we should. I'm going to make the decision in the next few hours. Infowarsstore.com. When we come back, I'm just going to blitz through tons of news. By the way, if you just tuned in, you're listening on radio. Even the New York Times admits China is controlling Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And then they get up there on Congress and say, we shut Alex Jones down at lunch. He was #1 on Twitter. Paul Watson was #1. And they have hearings going, good, you shut him down more. And then I've got right here, Europe moves ahead with internet censorship enforcement as more platforms join. They say any form of conservatism, nationalism will be shut down. Or Europe is going to fine, Germany, France, you name it, millions of dollars per infraction. You report that a Muslim killed somebody, you're not just going to get arrested. They're going to get fined. And they have actually hired the former Stasi in Germany. This is mainstream news. Former Stasi captains and lieutenant colonels in a spy operation, that's super high, to run it. I mean, you cannot make up the full magnitude of this evil hitting us between the eyes. But the good news is we're fighting back, and they're failing, and they're going to lose. But we need you to spread the articles and spread the videos and defend the Republic and defend free speech everywhere and exercise it. And I know you go out on the street and Antifa spits on you and points guns at you. I understand. They're going to try to shut us down on the web and in the street. But believe me, they're going to get their ass handed to them real soon. It's 2018. Global government's here, and it's collapsing.
Defending the Republic from enemies, foreign and domestic. It's Alex Jones, live from Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide from the Infowars.com studios.
Facebook, Google, Twitter, they're all working with the EU and Communist China to shut down free speech in their countries and here. It's all mainstream news. They report in the New York Times like, is this a problem? Maybe not. They're just mainlining it. And Twitter, Facebook, and Google, working with China, have created a global social score that they want to roll out with companies, government, and their systems, where if you don't comply and go along, it lowers your score where you're literally unhireable. and face scanning cameras on the street will alert the general public to who you are for shunning and physical attacks. This is their science fiction plan. It's in their WikiLeaks. It's in their admissions. There it is. China's social credit system will rate how available and how valuable you are as a human. And then they game that system with super mods, and it's over. This is the plan. They think you're going to comply with globalism and political correctness, that they're going to ratchet up and up and up, all because you're going to be given access to the internet and access to these internet gulags, these internet ghettos that Matt Drudge coined a few years ago here on the broadcast. And they're doing it. And then you go out on the street and you just look conservative. It's been on local news here that a gay guy walks out a liberal and gets beat up. He's a white guy by 6 black guys saying F Trump. Or if you're Alex Jones, you really get attacked. Or if you're the Trump family, or if you're anybody else, or you just go out and try to cover their women's march, they spit at you, they yell at you, men run over and stick their butt out in Millie's face and then engage in flatulence. And it's all arrested development, very cowardly, very babyish, very stunted, very out of shape, very bot-like, very genetic disorder looking. I don't care if they're black, white, Hispanic. You look at these people, they're ugly, they're stupid, they're hateful, they truly are twisted. And then you've got all the women. They're a mix, but they're there smiling in solidarity, feeling some type of tribal power because they were given no tribe, no culture. And so it's women dressed up like vaginas humping each other and just engaged in bad behavior, naughtiness. We're naughty. And ignorant young people saying, these people that are here are citizens under DACA. They have a right to stay. No, they're not citizens. I can't go to Mexico or Germany and just become a citizen unless I'm a Muslim. Childless cat ladies start cult against reality and Trump. You know, there's one of the videos. Here's the deal. We've got to take like 50 or 60, 70 of these videos. I'm not kidding. It's probably 70 or 80. More. It might be 100. And they're all incredible. And we've got to boil them down. The problem is you'll watch a 15-minute video and it gets more and more and more and more and more insane. Women dressed up as giant vaginas with sex toys hanging out of them, running around, acting insane. Because that's all this is. It's not even street art, ladies and gentlemen. All right, that's enough of that. Let me start getting to some of these clips. It's just that they're here. The censorship is here. It's all happening. And then here's the BBC. Fascist fighters are criminals on the streets of Portland's Antifa group. And then it says they physically attack people first. They call them Nazis if you're a conservative, libertarian, or Christian. And they basically say in the report that they're good people. Here's another one. Europe moves ahead with internet censorship enforcement as more platforms join. And I've got all these news articles here. I've got all of these reports. And I can't find my video list. Here it is. So let me, without further ado, start getting to some of these videos. The ones that we've been able to bleep the cuss words out of. Here's rabid Trump supporter swings and spits on female reporter.
No, I'm asking the InfoWars man. What is a humanoid?
You.
What is a humanoid?
I would say probably you.
What is the definition of a humanoid?
Someone like you.
What is the definition of a humanoid?
An ignorant dumb like you.
An ignorant dumb like me. Do you know what ignorant means? Ignorant means unaware of knowledge or lacking of a comprehensive attention. I'm asking you what that is.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're just a drunk.
Look at this guy. Now he wants to get loud. He's getting pissed.
I'm so mad.
You.
Oh, look at how mad I am.
InfoWars pig. You.
I feel bad.
You. I feel bad for you. I feel bad for your future.
Look at you. You're literally foaming at the mouth.
I feel bad for your children.
You look like a rabid dog.
At the mouth because people like you are pigs. And you're everything that's wrong with America. Pigs. You. Fuck InfoWars. Your followers. all you Zion pigs. All you racist pigs. All you pieces of shit. You're fucking for you're fucking sad. Look at you. Look at you piece of shit. You can't even tell me the definition of a fucking word. You uneducated motherfucker. I got a degree in engineering. I got an
No, you don't.
right here.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have a degree in You're a fake poser.
Pig.
You're a poser.
True fascist.
Keep moving.
You're a fucking fascist pig.
Hold this. Hold this.
He spits on Daria.
Officers, this man needs to be arrested. This man is spitting on people. He's violent. Please, police.
This is amazing. So they're chanting lock him up. Here's the funny thing. If they lock Trump up, the economy would crash, the stock market would crash,
what they
the
want.
borders would be wide open, and America would become a
Because under
third
that
world
emergency,
nation. And
all these
that's what they
parasites think they're going
want.
to take over.
That's what they want. It's incredible.
You realize you're an idiot, right?
What did I say that's wrong, sir?
I don't really care what you said that's wrong. My point is that you're an idiot.
So you have no facts to base your statement.
That is absolutely not what I said, and you're distorting it. InfoWars sucks.
You called
Put that
me.
on the air.
You called me an idiot for no reason. There he goes. There he goes.
Yeah, there I go.
There he
You're
goes.
trying to
There he
slap
goes.
him.
What are you doing?
I'm not going to do anything.
Well, let's just check that
Because
guy
you're
right
a
in the
coward.
nose. Hit
Weren't
me.
you about to run away?
No, I was about to leave because I don't really feel like listening to assholes like you.
right.
You want to put that on the air? Put that on the air.
Will do. Will do. Thank you for that content. Don't worry, son. You can do better than your father.
This
All
is
right.
the dredge.
So, wow. That was
And look,
incredible.
it
No, but I
paused.
mean, seriously. Trump becomes president. All the stock markets hit record highs. The
I need to get to the next clip. It's so out of control, and there's hours of this, hour after hour of frothing, violent people that try to slap him and spit on him, and they talk about fighting hate and all this stuff, and they're just like Nazis who project hate, and a lot of them don't even know who Owen is. They don't see the flag on our microphone, InfoWars. They see the American flag hat, and that alone they hate. People are walking by the thousands, and they see the American flag, and they hate it. These people are the literal scum of the earth. They think America is a you-know-what hole. Must see cringeworthy outtakes of Millie's speech. Let's play the guy farting on her. Here it is.
How's this?
Is he gonna fart? You farted at me? He farted at me.
That's real audio.
Oh my God.
An old man and his wife. They're all about being babies. All right, let's just stop right here. And again, everybody's like Arrested Development. They all like mental patients. They're in a mental patient delusional cult. These are the losers. And they hate the recovery, and they hate our military, and they just hate everything. It is absolutely dangerous what a free society's created, because it's created all these spoiled, rotten babies. And imagine the millennials. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Please support the broadcast, InfoWarsStore.com. We've got the... Gentlemen, live
from the InfoWars.com studios, it's Alex Jones.
Well, I told you the Democrats were going to blink. Said it about 30 minutes ago, because the polls show they're getting their little globalist, white supremacist tails handed to them. That's what they really are. The race baiters. It just passed. The government's reopened 78 to 18. 60 votes needed to limit debate. Now, again, that's just some of the vote, though. There's usually procedural votes. But so far, they are blinking and blinking big time. We'll continue to follow this, because there's a lot of weird procedural stuff. And I've been busy covering all the censorship and the globalism, and Trump about to go to Davos and all the rest of it. But that's government funding through February 8th. Then, of course, this will probably all start back over again. But it's yes is 78, no is 18. Needed to limit debate. And I think that's just the debate, to limit debate. I believe the vote's still going forward. Let's check that right now. Let's not count our chickens till they're hatched. But that so far, the fact that they're not extending debate, looks like they're choking. And the word is people are really seeing through this. So we're going to watch this as it unfolds. But Schumer off to the side looks very, very pleased. So we'll just see this as it goes forward. What a joke. Oh, by the way, the ultimate plug here, and then I'm going to get back to the news. I don't like taking Zyrtec D or Claritin D for seasonal discomfort, all the pollen. In Texas right now, they have the mountain juniper. They call it cedar. That's the redneck term for it. There's literally clouds of yellow flying around. It makes me sneeze, have headaches, you name it. Well, I didn't bring a bottle of pollen block home over the weekend, and the trees really dropped this weekend, so it went from medium to extremely high. Now, before I go any further, I've got to get to some more of these clips here. Joel Gilbert's going to join us. We're going to play some excerpts of his new film, The Art of the Insult. He's an expert on communist and globalist. We're going to get into Antifa, all the rest of it, and take some of your calls next hour. We're going to continue government funding through February 8th. 60 votes needed to limit debate. So I believe that is a vote to limit debate, and then they're going to have the main vote. But I may be wrong. I'll check during the break and give you the exact analysis. But that's ongoing. We're going to follow that as that goes. Let's go ahead and play Soy Lattes Litter Streets after Women's March. Again, this is a drug deployed by, like there's good stuff in Mother Nature, there's bad stuff. It's not just regular soy. These big companies, particularly to make you addicted, of course, it's out of Seattle and the whole globalist feminization program of males. They take soybeans and crush the whole thing in a process, turning it into sludge. You're not supposed to eat the core of a soybean. So, again, they're eating the cores of soybeans the way it's processed, which is pure estrogen. And the men admit they're addicted. They freak out. It's incredible. Women that drink it can't get pregnant. So it's really targeting them. Okay, it blocks fertility. First thing they'll tell you is get off soy products. Bunch of other stuff. And get on iodine. That's the major studies. Real iodine. But with men, it just whacks them out, man. And they're bouncing up and down off the walls. And there's just thousands of these cups, hundreds where she's at it. It's all soy latte, soy. She reads on the side, soy, 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 soy. Because they made it trendy. They go, drink the soy, liberal. And then they all run out, go, And then once they've done it, they like it. So let's go ahead and show it.
I find it a bit ironic that after the Los Angeles Women's March, the streets are littered with empty soy latte cups. That's right, tons of Starbucks and other coffee cups littering the floor.
Oh,
kind of funny. And
notice what a bunch of dirty pigs these people are. If you go to a conservative rally, it looks like the military police the area with a fine-tooth comb on average. Hey, pick that up. Just saying. But these pigs, you notice it's Antifa signs. That's the Antifa site. That has the full page ads in the New York Times. Are just littering everywhere, trash everywhere. And just look at these people. They look like people escaped out of a mental institution. Let's go back to them.
Ironic when all of these feminist liberals are pushing for climate change and that the world is so populated that we all need to restrict our behaviors and daily tasks when they can't even make the effort to throw away their coffee cups or their resist Trump signs. But notice also that soy lattes have been linked with having estrogen mimickers and high amounts of it. The theme here is that we see all of these empty soy latte cups here when we had this ultra feminine, feminist, anti-masculine, anti-patriarchy march here. It's no wonder that you saw women dancing around in vagina costumes, rubbing up against each other, that you saw extremely effeminate men walking around here at the march when they're all consuming mass amounts of soy lattes. And who's going to pick up all this trash, right? Who's going to pick it up? These entitled feminists and liberals want the world to be theirs. They said feminism is the future. Female is the future. Well, I hope the future doesn't look like garbage filled all over the streets and soy latte cups everywhere.
What, like Haiti? A crap hole? Where you got a bunch of poor people that just, if there's 2 cows, go ahead and just kill them and have meat tonight. Don't let them breed. Don't have 50 cows and then have meat all the time. And just cut down all the trees. The Dominican Republic's right next door. Gorgeous, beautiful, incredible. And then right over the border, Haiti is deforested in a hellhole, and its population is even lower because everybody stabs everybody in the back. Their national religion is devil worship. The devil doesn't deliver, folks. The devil's for losers. We'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, we're coming back with the vote in the Senate to turn the government back on. That's still ongoing. But right now, let's go to this powerful John Bound report that's absolutely critical.
Well, it's after midnight, and the votes weren't there to keep the government running. It's been roughly 5 years since the government shut down. The Democrats point their fingers at the Republicans, demanding the protection of non-citizen, non-tax-paying DACA dreamers, while American tax-paying citizens are the ones who will be left in the cold.
I really believe that 1 week from now, we will have DACA on the books.
They held all this hostage. All of it hostage over the completely unrelated issue of illegal immigration.
It's almost as if you were rooting for a shutdown. And now we'll have one. And the blame should crash entirely on President Trump's shoulders. This will be called the Trump shutdown.
As the White House just indicated, the president's not going to talk about the issue at all while the government shut down. Made it quite clear. Said, when Democrats start paying our armed forces and first responders, we'll reopen negotiations on immigration reform. So this particular strategy has eliminated the possibility of getting a signature on the thing they shut the government down over. Anybody explain to me this strategy? I'm perplexed.
Underlying the shutdown mess, the release, the memo movement. Rolling Stone has ridiculed the suspicion of corruption, writing, "The memo in question is a confidential 4-page document assembled by a stealthy group of House Republicans, led by Intelligence Committee Chair Devin Nunes over the past month. Surprisingly enough, they seem to have found what they set out to find, judging, at least, from the dark and hysterical hints about the contents of the memo that right-wingers in Congress began to issue last evening. And the Mockingbird media continues to stir that pot."
This meme that's breaking my Twitter feed this morning, what is this memo that you guys are selling as so significant?
Yeah. It's a meaningful event, I'm telling you, and it's so important to me and other members that not only members of Congress, but that we declassify as best we can this information and provide it to you.
What kind of information is it?
It's primarily dealing with Department of Justice and FBI, and imagining this. Did they propose or provide information to the FISA courts, and was that information accurate? That's the essence of this.
So you believe you have proof that a judge allowed warrants in violation of the legal standard for those warrants?
I'm not going to elaborate on it other than that.
It's a pretty loaded suggestion, though. I mean, this is huge, but I can't tell you why.
Meanwhile, the inertia from those so-called dark and hysterical hints are gaining momentum as the concern over the contents of the 4-page classified memo intensifies.
And particularly the authentication processes that are laid out in the memo are of such fiction. They are so laughable that they would never withstand scrutiny from the public. And what I'm worried about is that the cast of characters identified in this memo is not a group of people who are gone. Many of these people are still in our government. They still wield influence, and that's why we've got to get this information out in public.
You just said people will be fired at the FBI and Department of Justice,
and possibly worse. I think that there could be people who could face criminal consequences as a result of the activities that are laid out in this memo. And it's easy to see after reading this memo why Senator Grassley and why Senator Graham wanted to refer this matter for criminal prosecution.
By releasing the memo and releasing the file, what it would reveal is the Fed's reliance on bad sources and methods. The American public deserves the truth. We should not hide the truth from them. They've waited too long. Do not pull a wool over their eyes. Show them the facts. They deserve nothing less.
It was an organized
the Democrats
conspiracy.
will now thumb their nose at what they perceive as President Trump and the Republicans' failure to lead.
A champion in rallying those forces is our distinguished majority whip for the moment. No, well, Steny Hoyer.
Whatever I am at any given moment, I'm
She needs
pleased
a mental
to be here.
test.
But ultimately, the harebrained Democrats are mocking.
We now take you live to the Central Texas Command Center in the heart of the resistance. It's Alex Jones.
I'm not a liberal. I'm not a conservative. I'm an American. I'm a father. I'm a patriot. I like free market. I like common sense. I like living in a free country. You know, I saw these memes online where they go, Jones loves our military now, but he used to think our military wanted to put us in FEMA camps. I never said our military was bad or hated us. I said under Bill Clinton and then under Bush and then under Obama, we got real government memos and documents and training manuals from the military because they were patriots, where Obama was trying to train the military for gun confiscation and for civil unrest. And 2.5 weeks ago, we got documents from inside Antifa and George Soros' foundation that they've not denied are real, where it said we're going to cause a civil war. We're going to stir up a race war in America so Obama can declare martial law in 2015, but that failed. Then I got full-page ads they put in the New York Times saying we're going to resist, we're going to drive Trump out. And I see them trying to sabotage our economy in front of everybody in a big way. And we go out to their rallies in Austin and Los Angeles and in New York this weekend. We probably got close to 100 videos on Infowars.com of men spitting on women at women's marches, at men running over and farting on Millie Weaver with their wives, acting, I mean, we're talking like ripping, like 3-year-olds. And everyone acting like lobotomized children, running around, screaming, yelling, going nuts. And I've asked Kit, or one of the other great crew members, I guess Kit's in New York, he's not back yet, Kit Daniels, somebody to compile the 100 videos or whatever, just to an InfoWars page where it's just all there. Like, you know, the Women's March, total insanity, words do not describe it, you've got to see it for yourself. And we weren't cherry picking. I guess they have posted it. There it is. We were not cherry picking. That's just some of them. I haven't watched the one where everybody's spraying the guy, whatever that is. And there's I don't even see the footage here of at nighttime Antifa attacking everybody and trying to keep people from going into a Patriot event. And then Chelsea Manning goes in, everybody's nice to her. And then she comes out and says, I confronted the white supremacist. It's like make-believe. It's like LARPing. It's like you're a kid and you imagine that your dad's truck is a monster and you're fighting in the front yard with a stick or something. I mean, it's like they work for the people that are race baiting. They work for the people that robbed Haiti. They work for the people that are funding radical Islam to take over. I mean, they're really bad people. Hillary Clinton said black people were super predators. Hillary Clinton praised the Grand Dragon of the KKK, but they don't care. It's about make-believe, and it's about a club they're in, and it's about them living in this open, free society. Almost none of them have jobs, and they march over to our camera people and keep saying, we got to have DACA. These are citizens. They have a right to be here. There should be no borders. Well, explain to us how people that aren't from this country are citizens. F you, I hope you die. And it's all just about signaling to each other that they're cool. This is the kids that want to be cool in school. You know, most people that were cool in school ended up not being cool. So they're uncool. And the folks that wanted to be cool, they're not cool either. What about folks you never really heard about? You know those guys that everybody thought was like an undercover cop, but they weren't. You know, he had a girlfriend that was in college, or it's a woman. She's already, writing her second novel. You find that quiet person, and then you see them, driving off in their $100,000 car. It's not just they're wealthy. It's like, oh, I published 5 books. Since you asked who I am, and I got to go. I'm going to go hang out with some 30-year-old people. That's what's really going on at school. See, you want to find those people because they're there, and they don't want to talk to you. Not because they're elitist. They just know you're an arrested development person. I was hanging around with guys that, had already been on 4 or 5 tours in the military when I was 16 or 17 because they were fun and they were cool. I was going to shooting contests, with the police and the FBI when I was 16. That's what I was doing just because I was a good shooter. People invited me. That's what I did. But see, I'm not Arrested Development. At 21, I had a syndicated radio show. By 30, I was on over 100 radio stations. By 43, I'd helped elect the first American restorationist president in history. And those aren't brags. It's just fact. Who was the famous actor played Cowboys? It wasn't John Wayne. He always distributed it. Who said no brag, just fact? One of those guys. And it's not bragging to say this. This is why we're under attack. This is why they're after us. This is why they don't like us. We're coming back from break. We're going to go to Joel Gilbert and his new film that we're selling at InfoWarsStore.com. Trump, The Art of the Insult, which he does after they attack him and where he uses the name to properly name what they are. Sloppy Steve. Crooked Hillary. It's powerful. It's a must-see. It's coming up. It's at InfoWarsStore.com. But before we go back to our guest here, I wanted to just go ahead and get to one other clip here as they prepare to have the vote. They've already had a vote to limit debate. Now they're grandstanding, the Democrats are. We'll see what happens. But I thought we should play this clip by Jeff Greenfield. When I watch CNN, I expect indictment of Trump to be imminent. CNN reporter admits no one cares about Russia conspiracy theory. And so now that Zucker's out, as of last week, we broke that and told you, Roger Stone told you he will be gone by January. Said that 4 months ago. Next year's news today. CNN has wrecked itself doing this. So you're going to see a little more sanity come in now that Zucker is gone. So now they're not going to be fired if they don't say he's a Russian agent, Alex Jones is a Russian agent, George Soros murdered Hitler himself when he was a Nazi collaborator. I mean, that's the type of, upside down world stuff they're putting out. So here is Jeff Greenwald. Here's part of that clip.
Well, I remember talking years ago to a United States senator who would go home and watch Keith Olbermann when he was on MSNBC beating up Bush. And I said, why do you do that? And I was told it's like sinking into a nice warm bath. And I think on both sides of the divide, people are sinking into nice warm baths to reconfirm what they believe. I mean, if the idea that, when I watch CNN sometimes, I think I expect the indictment on Donald Trump to be imminent because the focus on Russian collusion and that issue is very strong. And if you turn on MSNBC, you're going to get pretty much a nightly dose of, the prosecutor's case against Donald Trump.
That's Greenfield, Jeff Greenfield. So this is how they're going to sneak out of this, back out of this now. Oh, come on, we're all in our own echo chamber. No, the economy's coming back. The border's getting secured. Retirees are getting their future secured. Thousands of new factories are coming back. Apple just announced $350 billion in new investment. The Japanese have announced all total $1 trillion in new investment. I mean, I'm not going to spend all our time on this. That's reality. Free market delivers a place for a bunch of spoiled brats to bitch and complain. Like the Women's March. Free market delivers, not communism, not socialism, not command and control. It's a fact, and it's true. And I know our audience knows that, but we're the people getting outside the bubble. It's why they're trying to censor us everywhere. That's why they have to do that, because we're the winners. We are carrying the light in the dark of the night. Here is another CNN reporter now telling the truth. That's Maeve Reston saying, out in America, everybody's sick of this. Here it is.
And I think that what's going to be so interesting to watch this year, one of the things that I'm most excited talking to voters about is you are starting to see that uneasiness about the economy sort of dissipate. Remember, even in 2016, when we went out to these swing states and talked to voters, there was still this fear that things were suddenly going to turn down again. You don't feel that as much anymore. And I'm so interested to see how the Russia investigation affects things, because so far out in these districts, when you talk to people about Russia, and that's all we talk about at CNN, basically, they say they don't care. It doesn't have any effect on their lives.
Yeah.
We now take you live to the Central Texas Command Center in the heart of the resistance. Rallying patriots worldwide. Your You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Stand up and be counted for what you are about to receive. It's the bounty of the free market and the Renaissance and classical liberalism. So stand up and be counted for what you are about to receive. We are the dealers. We'll give you everything you need, which is you and your family with God, not the state, not the system. Joel Gilbert joins us for the balance of the hour. At the end of the hour, we have something very special for Conan O'Brien, a little music video I put together because he's been out virtue signaling in one little tiny area at a private resort in Haiti that's all heavily guarded, saying, oh, it's wonderful, no problems here, when the whole island is a leftist money laundering pit where they keep it in poverty on purpose, but that's a whole other issue. Here is the trailer for the powerful new film available at InfoWarsStore.com. Trump, The Art of the Insult, directed by the amazing director, Joel Gilbert. Here is the trailer.
Called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs.
Only Rosie O'Donnell. And they said that wasn't politically correct. Who cares? You haven't been called. Go back to Univision. I think Jeb is a nice person. He's very low energy. I'm not used to that kind of a person. Throw them out into the cold. Don't give them their coat. No coats. L-Y-I-N apostrophe. Lion dead. I have never seen a human being eat in such a disgusting fashion. The most dishonest human beings. These people right here. Look at all the cameras. So disgusting. This socialist / communist, crazy Bernie. He's crazy as a bedbug. Who, Pocahontas? The Indian?
Very offensive.
I'm sorry about that. Pocahontas? Crooked Hillary, folks. She's been crooked from the beginning. Crooked Hillary. Politicians are really dishonest. Yeah.
Donald Trump alleges that my dad was involved in assassinating JFK.
This had nothing to do with me, except I might have pointed it out. This guy was sweating so badly. Thank God he has really large ears, the biggest ears I've ever seen, because they were protecting him. I'm trying to be nice. You know, I'm working hard to be nice. He was begging for my endorsement. I could have said, Mitt, drop to your knees. He would have dropped to his knees. He put glasses on so people will think he's smart. It just doesn't work. You know, people can see through the glasses. I'll make 3 or 4 major speeches. He makes a speech for 15 minutes. He goes home, goes to bed. We live off Chinese manufacturing. That's because when you say we, you are stupid. Repeat after me.
Donald, you're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. That's not going to happen.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Tell her to tuck you in bed. And your mother is voting for Trump.
All right, InfoWarsStore.com, ladies and gentlemen, get the new film. Very powerful. In fact, I've already watched it with my children. And I've explained to them that the globalists teach you to lay down. And when you stand up, it's bad. We don't throw the first punch. Verbally, physically, you name it. But when you throw the punch, when you do it, calling him a misogynist, a Nazi, oh, you're Crooked Hillary. Or other people called him all sorts of horrible names, and he's a counterpuncher. Well, so am I. And I will sit there and insult these people all day long. I'm tired of laying down. What about you? Joel Gilbert, you made a lot of amazing films. We've carried them all. We sell them all. They're all groundbreaking. But this one is fun and very, very celebratory. So congratulations on what you've done. It's really a special film.
First of all, you'll laugh nonstop the whole time. But more importantly, there's a lot of important lessons. You'll see how middle America fell in love with a Manhattan billionaire because he was the only one of the Republicans that was willing and capable of standing up to Hillary and the leftist media complex.
And exactly. And he knew that we were talking like that at home.
Absolutely. And he did it, don't forget, with a mix of truth and humor. That's why it stuck. When Megyn Kelly kind of started it off, she accused Trump of calling women fat pigs, slobs, and disgusting animals. He answered, only Rosie O'Donnell. And people laughed and laughed. Maybe a week later, Jorge Ramos kept interrupting him at a press conference, and Trump said, as you saw in the trailer, go back to Univision. Now, people were thinking, go back to Mexico. And this is why he got so much heat, and he didn't apologize. Trump never apologized, and that's why.
Well, imagine if you were a U.S. reporter in Mexico City in somebody's face telling the Mexicans what to do. They'd say, go back to El Norte, Yankee.
That's right. And Trump took everybody on one by one. And if you messed with him, you usually didn't last in the Republican race more than 2 or 3 more weeks. And the media couldn't stand up to him either. So this film, 95 minutes of nonstop laughter, but you get to know Donald Trump. I thought I knew Trump. I studied Trump. I thought I knew him. Only when you see this all back to back, how he reacts from the heart. He speaks from the heart. He said what he said. He meant what he said. Even if it's a little inarticulate or doesn't quite make sense, people understood he was authentic.
Exactly. They say Trump's a fake. It's the opposite. And they'll kind of now admit it behind the scenes. They go, this guy's crazy. He really believes all this.
Absolutely. And you'll see the genius of Trump. They say, oh, he's chaotic. He's just, a sideshow. In fact, he controlled the entire media complex with very simple marketing ideas. Started out with Jeb Bush, had $120 million in the bank, and Trump thought of 2 words, low energy, low energy. And it was over. It was over because he branded him with this kind of funny and kind of true concept. And he went after them one by one. So when you see the film, you end up really understanding Trump as an authentic, patriotic American who will stand up for America and not take it anymore. And that's what people wanted.
And now 1 year later, they've got the government shutdown to try to take away from the celebration. But even the left's come back to CNN and said, look, we're all over the country. Everybody that's actually got their head in the real world knows Trump's not even a conservative. He's just a Americana guy, free market guy. And people want the prosperity, and they're really sick of this.
Look, Trump started out his presidency. Usually you're given a 7-month honeymoon. Trump got about 7 seconds, and 2 million anti-democracy protesters took to the streets. They're back at it today, in the last couple of days. He's got the entire Democrat Party and media complex against him. And they use this term from the get-go, resistance. Now, we know resistance is a military term that was used by anti-Nazi partisans, by Hamas in the Middle East, the Islamist terrorists. And it's meant to lead people to violence in the Antifa movement. And that's when we saw this James Hodgkinson came out and tried to murder all the Republican leadership when Steve Scalise was seriously injured.
Which they admit. I mean, even the New York Times said, here's where they meet. Somebody could attack this and take the leadership out. Front page.
This is what they're trying to do. Obama was using all kind of messages, race baiting. The top 1% have got all your money. There's an evil boogeyman.
Remember, Obama told illegal aliens to vote. We're going to come back. Joel Gilbert's our guest. The new film is a must-see. It is hilarious and informative.
KLN, Los Angeles. Clone Radio. We play the songs that sound more like everyone else than anyone else. Clone.
Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns. 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. The Republic will rise again when you attempt to take our guns.
I have sworn upon the altar of God eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man.
The answer to 1984 is 1776. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Joel Gilbert is our guest riding shotgun for the rest of the hour. More and more, the New York Times, the Washington Post, undercover videos from Project Veritas show the communist Chinese government, the biggest mass murderers in history, trying to crash our stock market, propping theirs up with government funding, at least 5, some say 10 times what the U.S. government does. involves censoring libertarians and conservatives and Christians online through Twitter, Facebook, and Google. And it's all admitted. I mean, these people, there is a Democrat Party alliance with Communist China. They're financing the whole thing. And I just can't believe it's all out in the news. And then you've got Soros, the Nazi collaborator, funding the Antifa groups who are running all these demonstrations, and they are the vicious, most vile people. I've been covering conservative and libertarian demonstrations for 23 years. And only in the last 6 or 7 did they turn into like demon zombies. And there's literally close to 100 videos shot in L.A., New York, and Austin over the weekend by our crew who are very brave. They want to go out and do this. I don't even order them to go out anymore. And these people spit on them. They scream at them. They say they're going to kill them. Now this guy says on the video, give me a cup of coffee. I'm going to dump it on them. So I guess that's the new thing is they don't just go F you, they dump coffee on you. And then the New York Times, the Washington Post, I got BBC article here, fascist fighters on the streets of Portland's Antifa group, and they're just angels. Well, they're going to attack you, but they're freedom fighters because you're the Nazis. And see, they're the resistance. Now, I use the term the resistance because we had a globalist government here, and I called it information war. But yes, it's war, like Gilbert said. They are trying to censor us off the web and making the announcements while they try to censor us off the street, where my own reporters went out for the young lady that got killed by the illegal alien, and the virtue signaling jury let the killer go. We just tried to go cover the memorial service. And they had guns, communist flags, and they said, you're not coming in. The Austin cops said, we've been told stand down. Just like in D.C. when they blocked us for hours getting in to hear the president speak. And then folks went, hey, you got a VIP thing. You just go right to the front. Oh, Antifa wasn't there, Black Lives Matter, because that's what the Democrats were going in. And they were coordinating with the D.C. police, later came out in the news, with the Maryland police. That's what's in the documents, too, is they coordinate with blue cities. Now, you talk about tyranny when you've got the police actively letting you attack people. It's dangerous. And imagine what they would have done if Hillary would have gotten in. Joel Gilbert, the maker of the new amazing film that everybody needs to get and support the InfoWar, but it's something everybody's got to watch to remember all this. It's just a celebration of how we got here to fight back against these tyrants with free speech. Trump, The Art of the Insult, Standing Up to Bullies, directed by Joel Gilbert. I added the part, Standing Up to Bullies. Again, they're not used to this. What are they going to do as they just keep ratcheting up the violence, ratcheting up the attacks, ratcheting up the censorship? Where do you see the immovable object against the unstoppable force? How is this going to end?
Well, look, let me first comment on one thing, is that the Democrat Party today is a radical socialist party. Most rank and file Democrats don't understand that. Barack Obama is kind of the epitome of the story of how the radical socialists and communists took over the Democrat Party. In the late 60s, Bill Ayers, Weather Underground, there were open calls for revolution, bombing police stations, murdering people. And they said they were going to put 50 million Americans in re-education centers and murder 25 million of them. And this plan failed very badly because it was so evil. When these terrorists came out of jail and out of the underground into Chicago in the 1980s, they taught the young group of radicals at that time, like Barack Obama, you cannot overthrow the government from the outside. We were wrong. Instead, you need to overthrow it from within. Therefore, don't tell people about your Marxism and socialism. Keep it to yourself. Just tell people you want to help families. You want to give them free health care. And once you take power, you'll throw them under the bus and pursue this radical agenda that no one voted for. And then you can use the tools of state to maintain power. And that's what Obama did in 2012 by using the IRS to suppress the conservative free speech movement while the left was allowed to organize. And then he interfered apparently in the 2016 election and tried to through the FBI and DOJ. It's classical Marxist behavior because they cannot maintain power with their policies that are failures. We didn't need Russian interference in either election. We had our own Bolshevik in the White House in the form of Barack Obama. Now, when you see the film Trump, The Art of the Insult, which you should buy in the InfoWars store, please, Art of the Insult, you'll see the simplicity of the message of just standing up to this fascism. When Trump had those all those rallies, like the Trumpapalooza tour, he'd fly in, and you'll see that in the film. He'd fly into these airport hangars 4 and 5 times a day, and he'd put on this great performance art, mocking and ridiculing Hillary and his opponents. And these idiot protesters, this is how stupid the left is. The protesters would show up thinking, well, we're going to show up Trump, we're going to make him look bad, and the media would come to cover these protesters. And you'll see in the film, as soon as the protesters start screaming Trump is a racist, he would say, oh, look over there at the protesters. He starts smiling. He was just waiting for the protesters, and he tricked them into giving him $2 billion worth of free earned media. So in answer to your question, if Trump just continues to be himself, representing that middle America, that Harry Truman style person that speaks from the heart and tells it like it is, I think he can win out with the Republican Party in 2018 and in the end win the day, because the radical socialist Democrats do not represent anything to do with American society or free market principles that made this country so great.
Man, Joel, you are so on target, and that is exactly what we're dealing with here. The globalist and the socialist-controlled media, they're so used to having no opposition and an asleep population, they could get away with this. But now you see the moves they're making. They're so dumb, but they've worked everywhere else in the world. Soros has overthrown, as you know, more than 10 countries. I had some really interesting fellows here in studio whose military backgrounds are secret, but I know some of it, who are top tier, guys, the most elite teams out there. And they were asking me, what do we do as veterans and the groups we know to counter this? Because these groups are terrorists. They saw the videos of Antifa with guns, not letting people demonstrate in America. And I had to say to them, just keep waking people up. Let's make the country be successful. Let's counter who they are, information warfare. But yeah, at a certain point, I didn't know what to say or what we should do, but just move forward. What would you say to those guys they should do?
Well, I'll get to that, but people, you got to understand that Trump was not a real estate guy when he ran for president. He'd been in the entertainment business for 30 years. He'd been doing marketing and hype through pro wrestling, pro boxing, USFL, Miss America, Miss Universe.
Sure, and he said, my job will be being a cheerleader for America and the economy, and it's here. The globalists have been cheerleading for China against us. Exactly. So the answer is love America, love success, love free market, love ourselves. That will counter the globalists trying to demoralize us.
Well, and Trump has done it with really what were essentially leftist tactics. I got a email from somebody. He saw my film and said, Saul Alinsky works for us now. And it's true, because Trump, while he's going to sleep or when he wakes up, it's very easy for him to send out a few tweets, and he literally changes the entire narrative of the country and the news that obsess over every single tweet. And then
he can always change the narrative of the next one, and they're so narcissistic they don't get they're being led around by the nose like a mentally ill bull. We shall go on to the end, whatever the cost may be.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
We shall defend our republic. We shall never surrender. We are back live, ladies and gentlemen, broadcasting worldwide. Joel Gilbert is our guest. I'm going back to him in just a moment, but this dovetails all together. We're in the middle of an epic battle, historical battle against free market systems that have their own problems, but are light years better than command and control, the ancient forms of barbarism and everything that comes with it, like black unemployment doubling under Obama and food stamp usage doubling under Obama. It doubled from, 49 million to 100 and something million. Total control. And I've known people that were smart, good-looking, intelligent. You see them after 5 years unemployment, they're like zombies. Sedentary lifestyle. How many people retire and then die in the first 6 months? A large percentage. I've had family that retires. They're super happy, type A personalities. They're dead in a year. So it's the same thing. They want to make you dependent, and it's sick. And Obama flies in on jumbo jets and tells Africans you can't have cars and air conditioning. They're selling austerity, and Trump's selling prosperity and whole new economies out of clean technology. You know, the whole new budget and everything Trump's done and the tax cut has all this really innovative new energy stuff. And it's not just boondoggles. It's just tax write-offs to bring that industry here and to bring innovation. And Trump's taking the regulations off, what they call disruptive technology. Secretly, that's what he's really doing, I'll let you know, is allowing the deployment of a lot of technology the U.S. has been sitting on. And that's this year. It's already started. This year, you're going to see, oh, look at this thing our scientists discovered. Oh, they just published the paper. Oh, we're going to give this to U.S. companies. Watch, within 1 month. Yes. Yes, Buck Rogers. Let's go, baby. Yeah. Got somebody not out to screw you. But the globalists got us to the point that they were going to shut down free speech, shut everything down, and really bring in nasty stuff. And even large sections of the elite went, you know, this globalism doesn't work so good, and this is really nasty, and we don't want to do this. So there's a real war going on in the elite right now. Don't think Trump just did this on his own. He was recruited by patriots and U.S. intelligence agencies, for a fact. Trump was recruited by the U.S. Army. That's a big secret, but you deserve to know what the Democrats already know. You deserve to understand what's really going on. We were being held underwater. The country was being drowned. That's over. And the communist Chinese are crapping their britches right now. It isn't hurting their people that we're having a good economy. That'll help them. I'm going to go back to Joel, but let me get this right now. And we'll hold Joel over a little bit the next hour, but let me just get to this right now. It makes me sick to watch the One Foundation in Africa and Haiti collect billions of dollars. That's Bono and U2, and then only give 1%. That's mainstream news. They give 1%. You can click on the Daily Mail article. And then to watch Conan O'Brien go to Haiti to the one of two resorts where it's somewhat safe, where rich people basically barge in on boats and don't go anywhere else, landlocked between mountains. And he says, oh, Haiti is beautiful, it's wonderful, come here. Well, we hope to help Haiti and let them get their own economy. But when you read the State Department travel advisory, it says violent crimes such as armed robbery is common. Local police may lack the resources to respond effectively to serious criminal incidents or emergencies. Protests, tire burning, and road blockages are frequent and often spontaneous. That means getting robbed. And it goes on to say the entire place is super deadly and dangerous. Okay? That's a travel advisory. He goes and poses with a coconut to virtue signal to say that Trump's full of bull, saying it's a literal you-know-what hole, when that's taken out of context. He said S-H-I-T, house, not hole. And saying, why are we only bringing people in from these countries but blocking it from others, which they do. Because it's about suppressing and controlling. So the internet picked this up and has gone in and photoshopped him in real scenes of Haiti. And the internet is standing up to his hypocrisy and his sick virtue signaling. But it's nothing compared to the leftist groups that go in there and use it as a money laundering operation, or the Clintons that have been caught shipping little kids out and their own people been indicted and convicted for smuggling kids out for absolutely horrible things. Meanwhile, we send in food and resources and medicine, and Trump paid to have thousands and thousands of children get medical care back when he was a candidate, and no news coverage of that. But Rand Paul has talked about it. He flew in on the aid mission financed by Trump. So that's our crew, and that's our people. They're actually doing something. And you see all these evil white conservatives, they're actually helping. They're all conservatives. And you see leftists grandstanding what heroes they are, because they're posers and they're fakes and they're actors. So here's a satirical song I put together with video that we shot in Haiti of not just him in the middle of cesspools and things, we'll come back to Joel Gilbert, but of him floating around again in the real Haiti. So here it is.
Donald Trump has lied to you. Haiti is a rainbow, a glory hole, a heavenly place to go. And Conan O'Brien, he will be your guide in the wondrous land in the sea. Drink your coconut, bathe in the pool. The ocean will smile at you. Donald Trump is a devil, a liar, a fool, misogynistic, evil, homophobe. How dare him pay to send thousands of doctors to Haiti personally, and like Rand Paul to do the hundreds of eye surgeries, because Haiti doesn't need help. It's got coconuts and coconut milk. Heavenly place, oh Conan O'Brien, our loving leader said. Oh Conan O'Brien, he said it was a heavenly place. Liberals know the truth about it. It's not a shithole. And North Korea is not a hellhole either. Venezuela is good everywhere. The leftists run things. Oh, it is so good. So remember, Haiti is your place. And they don't need any aid or any food or any medicine either, because Haiti didn't need the $2 billion that the Clintons took. Oh, and then there's the One Foundation that raised money as well. And Bono calls it the One Foundation because he only gives 1%. But that's okay, they're so liberal, oh, it's so trendy and good. So remember, Donald Trump is Hitler and everything will be good.
Don't forget to download the latest track at CommunismWorksWonderful.com. And remember, free market's a true shithole, but everywhere else that leftists run is heaven. And again, if you go to Chicago where the left runs it, or New York, or Maryland, or L.A., it's just wonderful. Seattle was just crap everywhere, heroin needles, people flopping around. Joel Gilbert's going to be with us into the next hour because I want to give him the floor for a couple segments to really get into how we counter this and get serious. The new film everybody should order, Trump, The Art of the Insult. You absolutely need to get it at InfoWarsStore.com. Doesn't just fund the operation. It is hilarious, super positive, great for parties, great to write reports on for college or school. This is it. You need to get this film. It's Gilbert's best film, InfoWarsStore.com. We got about a minute and a half till we go to break here, but just seeing me be sarcastic about that, what do you think of Conan O'Brien and all this virtue signaling? And there's no end to these people.
I thought it was a fantastic video. The left live in a fantasy world. They've always lived in a fantasy world where there's a perfect utopia. As you saw in my prior film, There's No Place Like Utopia. Leftists compare America to the perfect paradise, and they conclude that we must tear it down and rebuild this perfect world. Conservatives, or normal people, I consider myself, I'm from Tennessee, I didn't grow up in LA. We look at America and compare it to the rest of the world, and we of course conclude that America's free markets, free religion, and government system is the greatest place to live. We want to build it up, we don't want to tear it down.
That's right. We'll be back with hour number 3, Joel Gilbert, your phone calls and more, because the globalists aren't giving up. And they're about to counter-strike big time and take our victory from us. But we're not going to let that happen, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Alex Jones. This is the InfoWar. If you're watching on Twitter, Facebook, Google, or other systems, spread those live links now as an act of resistance.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want to stop tyranny? Well, so does he. Live from the Infowars.com studios, it's Alex Jones.
We're back live, ladies and gentlemen, broadcasting worldwide. Joel Gilbert is our guest. We're going to open the phones up. Coming up in the next segment to talk about his film. We'll talk about the state of the world, the Women's March, you name it, 877-789-ALEX, 877-789-ALEX, on one big topic, or two. What's your favorite nickname that Trump's come up with for any of these knuckle-dragging, lying scumbags like Crooked Hillary?
Well, look, some of them worked really well, like Crooked Hillary had a lot of truth to it. Low Energy Jeb had a lot of humor. Some of them didn't go quite as well, like, Carly Fiorina, look at that face. That was kind of off limits for women. You can't talk about their face. Of course, Little Marco was a little bit demeaning, but it kind of revealed him as really more of a person who was little in his ideas as well as physically. But you got to just say Crooked Hillary was the best. It carried the general election campaign. Democrats knew she was crooked. The FBI knew she was crooked. Everybody knew she was corrupt. And I think that way of branding her was a tremendous effort.
And you can't brand it. It's like Fat Albert's fat. I mean, she's Crooked Hillary. And, of course, I love the new ones, Rocket Man, stuff like that.
Well, we got Rocket Man for Kim Jong-un. We've got crying Chuck Schumer. We've got sneaky Dan Feinstein because she revealed the transcripts illegally. So Trump is I think he's going to continue to brand and call out his opponents. And it's really just about strength and taking a stand and defending his turf and principles, calling out those who behave badly. Don't forget, when the public and the media freaks out about Trump said this or tweeted that, Barack Obama was abusing the public and the American electorate every day he was in office. He called Americans racist at every opportunity. He used the tools of state, the IRS, of course, Fast and Furious, Benghazi. Every single day he was trolling, calling Americans, the top 1% are taking all your money, give us the power, we'll take it back. It was 8 years of evil trolling. Trump uses some humor and really calls out his opponents to defend himself. And I expect him to keep doing that. And that's what's going to make him a strong president.
That's right. And in Pocahontas, she's not a Native American. She lied about it. And he said, hey, go do a genetic test and prove it. And they go, oh, you don't like Native Americans. The Native Americans think it's funny. They've said they think it's funny because she's not. It's hilarious.
Yeah, when you see the film, you'll see things in, Trump, the Art of the Insult. Again, go to InfoWars store. You can't miss this movie. You'll see things you never thought happened. The deplorable speech by Hillary. People remember, I didn't see the whole speech. They just remember she called Trump supporters deplorables. Well, it was much, much, much worse than that. She called them homophobic, xenophobic, not American, on and on. And you'll see Trump and his supporters destroy Hillary and anyone that tried to. That's the big
thing is they call everybody Nazis and all these other names. And then if you just call them crooked, they're like, how dare him, or how dare him undermine the free press in America by fighting back against these lying propaganda bureaus. Him responding back is not attacking the press and trying to shut the press down. It's the left trying to censor everything.
Right. Remember, think of how what is an obscene action or verbal action by a president. Barack Obama invited Black Lives Matter to the White House. He sent White House representatives to the funeral of Michael Brown in St. Louis and said that he was this perfect guy. And then somebody in Dallas murders policemen. Oh, what a surprise! Obama is the one who propagated.
And then he won't go to that. That's keys. And what do we do about
Obama? Well, Alex, then Obama shows up at the funeral for the cops and calls Americans racist. Now, what is more offensive? All that behavior that resulted in the death of policemen, and then Obama going and telling people that you're racist. Don't you know?
He didn't show up in Louisiana. Let's come back and
Alex Jones Show, because there is a war on for your mind.
We sell books, we sell films, we sell high-quality supplements to fund our operation at InfoWars Store on two big subjects, callers. What's your favorite thing Trump's done, favorite nickname? What do you make of the first year? How are the globalists going to strike back? What are your concerns? Maybe you're not happy with Trump. We'll also take those calls. So it's 877-789-ALEX. I got other callers about, Geneva Bible revision or stuff. I'll get to you after Joel's gone. I'll take your call. I just, he's here to talk about this general area, the film, which is unbelievable, great to show the kids. We couldn't stop laughing for 95 minutes. InfoWarsStore.com. Okay, going back to Joel Gilbert, repeat what you said about bringing in Black Lives Matter, that when cops get killed, going to the funeral in Dallas and saying, it's your fault, you're racist. CNN even said that, because some black cops get killed, now it's their fault. Then he didn't go to Louisiana, though, when it happened. And it just shows betting on old communist programs that don't work anymore. And then how do people counter this? How do you deal with it?
Look, unfortunately, the establishment Republicans and the conservatives have traditionally not understood how to fight the left in the political battlefield. And they haven't understood that the Democrat Party is a radical party. They're willing to lie, engage in voter fraud, and use the tools of state, IRS, DOJ, FBI, to crush the will of the American voter. I like to quote Alexis de Tocqueville, who wrote the book Democracy in America. And he said that, and I'm quoting, he said, everyone in America has the vote and is a contributor to lawmaking. Anyone wishing to change the law must take one of two courses. They must either change the nation's opinion or trample its wishes underfoot. And that's what the leftists do. That's what Obama did. And that's what the DOJ and FBI and Comey were up to. They were trying to trample the will of the voters to destroy American democracy. Trump was the first one of all the Republicans you'll see in the film, and in Trump, The Art of the Insult, you'll see that he stood up to everybody. He wouldn't back down. He wouldn't apologize. And by doing so, he was able to defeat all the Republican establishment, as well as the radical left and the entire media complex. And even then, just barely, he won by a few points in the end. And when you see the film, by the way, you'll see how he defeated the Republican establishment. Even Ted Cruz, who was really the outsider candidate at the beginning of the election, he was the anti-establishment hero. He had stood up to Obama, read Green Eggs and Ham on the Senate floor, and the election really was his to lose. I actually told him that personally. He just needed to beat Ted Cruz, the outsider, the rebel. Mr. Cruz goes to Washington. But Cruz instead chose this establishment route. He wanted to beat Jeb Bush. He wanted to be this mainstream guy. And Trump came along and he said, okay, if you don't want to be Ted Cruz, I'll be Ted Cruz. So really, the drain the swamp guy was Ted Cruz, and Trump took over that persona. And when you see the film, you'll see how he destroyed Cruz and everyone else. And by the way, I've screened this film to people that are Democrats and liberals, and they actually enjoyed the film. Now, I'll admit it was for different reasons than Republicans might enjoy the film. But it's not like my film, Dreams of My Real Father. Liberals would run out of the room screaming after 3 minutes. They would say, oh, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. But with this movie, they'll actually sit through the whole thing and enjoy it as well. So you should get it and show it to your liberal friends, and they should be able to take it.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I know a lot of people who are classic liberals but believe the Democratic Party because they were anti-war and they believe in taking care of the poor. And the Republican Party's been a really kind of nasty group of blue bloods that have had their own problems. But like you said, the Bill Ayers takeover starting in the late 60s is pretty much complete now. And most of the liberals I know now say they and all their friends absolutely are just disillusioned with the Democratic Party and what's going on. And it's all a bunch of really old globalist fossils as well. So where do you see the Democratic Party going?
I think the Democrat Party, unfortunately, has been infiltrated and reinforced on every level by far-left radicals. The Black Lives Matter is mainstream Democrat politics. Antifa, mainstream Democrat politics. Bernie Sanders, Stalinist, old-school communist, is one of their leaders. People showed up at his rallies and they clapped, they cheered. He talked about we're going to take over the banks, break up the pharmaceutical companies. That's pure communism. That's what they did back in the days of Bolshevism in Russia. They put all the bourgeois, they called them, the entrepreneurs, they put them in jail, and government took over industry. And of course, government bureaucrats aren't productive. So all the industries were destroyed and people ended up starving to death. But people show up to these Bernie Sanders rallies and they clap as if this is a solution that makes any sense in economics, and it doesn't. So I see the Democrat Party as going farther and farther left, and if the Republicans get rid of all this never Trump nonsense and solidify themselves behind the conservative agenda that Trump is promoting, and it's no different from the agenda that Republicans have been talking about for 10 years.
Well, sure, Trump sounds like JFK and his tax policies and all of it. I mean, to see what this party's turned into, and even the Democrats admit they're hated, they're a joke. They just spew the most nasty, made-up crap at people. Agree with me or you're a Nazi? And people are sick of that crud.
Well, JFK, don't forget, was a big anti-communist. That's why the radical left, Bill Ayers, Weather Underground, they hated JFK. They hated Robert Kennedy because they were anti-communist. The movement, the leftist movement in this country is a very dangerous thing. They've been attacking all the institutions of democracy, attacking police. It's almost as if we're back in the late 60s where the Weather Underground is here, but they're in the person of the Democrat Party.
Well, I was about to say, you go to these Democrat rallies, you see 500,000 people want to kill you, and they're like spitting and just yelling like mental patients.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
Watch me! It was the Republicans back in 1994 that shut the government down, and it hurt them. People didn't want obstructionism. They wanted the economy back. And Bill Clinton sounded more like Trump back then. Oh, we're going to have a good economy and all the rest of it. Socially, they did some bad stuff, but they did do some things to try to boost the economy, but it was artificial. But that said, the Democrats, as we thought earlier, they didn't block the vote to limit debate. And so now they've 80 to 16 gone through and said they're going to move forward with the vote later today. So the word is the Dems give up, showdown fight. That's what it signaled earlier. Normally when they start giving up on all these votes towards the final vote later today, it shows that. I want to go to phone calls with Joel Gilbert. He's not just a filmmaker. He's a great patriot and a really smart analyst. Before we go to these calls, in this segment and the next, then I'll let you go, and I got some final news I'm going to hit before our other host takes over. What do you make of the Democrats and their tactics? Because you talk about how their tactics don't work anymore, but in their own echo chambers, Democrats didn't used to look this mentally ill and this stupid and this ugly. And I don't say that with pleasure. I go out and see throngs of people acting like animals and being really mean and vicious and really acting like the fascists they talk about. And I wonder what happened to them. How did they get radicalized so quickly?
Well, they because their policies don't work, they've been proven to be disastrous for everybody, poor people, rich people, any leftist country. You're going to be bankrupt. The country's going to be bankrupt. You're going to have a lot of poverty. So because they know their policies don't work, they have cast the entire political battlefield into good versus evil. So these people feel that they're an army of saints. They're an army of do-gooders. They represent values. Every time you hear a Democrat politician, they always talk about our values. Their values are good. Everyone else is evil. And because they believe this narrative of good and evil, if you believe that you were going to save the world by getting rid of Trump and you're going to create a perfect future, you might commit some crimes too, because paradise is waiting for you. It's not different from the Islamist ideology that if you kill in the name of jihad, that you'll reach this paradise in the afterlife. The only difference between the leftists and the Islamists is the leftists believe they'll achieve paradise on earth, whereas for Islamists, it's paradise in the next world.
Joel Gilbert, you are hired. You are so dead on. And that's why the left is completely allied with the most radical forms of Islam. And Linda Sarsour and others attacked the women who were mainly leading demonstrations wanting freedom in Tehran, getting shot and killed and arrested and tortured. And Sarsour said, oh, it's a stunt, them taking their hijabs off while she's got her hijab on, leading the Women's March in New York. It is obscene that Soros could put her in at the front and he funds her and the women line up behind her like baby ducks.
Well, A.J. Weberman has put together a website, I think it's sarsour.net, where he has a book called A Jihad Growing in Brooklyn. That's very interesting. But bringing in large groups of people from Muslim countries, open borders, all of this is part of the tactic of the left because they know traditional Americans will never follow their disastrous policies. They hope to replace traditional Americans and outvote them with immigrants, undocumented immigrants, people from Muslim countries, poorer countries, so that these people will, they believe, will vote Democrat because they will want the bigger government services.
Well, exactly. The thing is, we could have people from all over. If they didn't get indoctrinated, but they got introduced to free market, they'd be great. But instead, we have to oppose it because they are being turned into a mob of frothing crazies.
That's part of the, that's part of the trip of the radical left, is to bring in as many low-income, low-wage, unskilled workers as possible, because they know they'll get about 90% of them voting for Democrats, who will not only promise them extra free services, health care, and so on, they're also promising them this perfect future. And that's why you see the left putting immigrants, minorities right out at the forefront. I think there was even on one of the Democrat Party websites, they said, we want to bring more women into the process to run for office. And they listed Muslim women, black women, Hispanic women, Jewish women, everybody but Christian women. So the left.
I was about to say, so Sir told them at last year's and this year's march, no Christian women allowed, and they won't even let you march with them. They throw you out, even though it's your right to march, if you're wearing a pro-life shirt.
Yeah, they really are borderline on the race selection system. If you look at Nazi Germany, how they started out by dividing everyone by race and racial, DNA, religion. The Democrats are going in that direction where they're dividing everybody, their constituents, they're dividing America along racial and religious lines, because they believe that they can then agitate and get the large masses to follow them with this identity politics idea, which really is a racial agenda, a racial and religious agenda to divide people.
Exactly. They are following, because when the Nazis first got in, it was on, supposedly recovery and all this other stuff in Versailles Treaty, but it was a socialist program. And they said that we're just going to get everybody in their group so we can categorize you for the census and stuff. And IBM helped. And then they used, once everybody in their own group, that's when they started the persecution. And so the Democrats are literally getting us all to do the opposite of what Martin Luther King did. They're getting us to literally identify as a group.
Right. Martin Luther King believed that we will judge people by the strength of their character, not by the color of their skin. A very noble, very American idea. That's why we have Martin Luther King Day. It's not for radicals like Barack Obama and all of his minions who run around saying that, well, he had something on his campaign website, African Americans for Obama, Muslims for Obama. It was all about dividing people and identifying their race. And it is very racist to tell people you have to believe in socialism and communism if you're this skin color or this religion. It's gone so far in the opposite direction. And again, it's because the Democrat leftist policies do not work.
You're right, and it's extremely patronizing. It's very patronizing to how they talk down to these groups. It's sick.
Yeah, there was this guy named, I think his first name is Paris. He's a African-American that was a Trump supporter, and he was on CNN explaining Trump's policies during the election. And this white professor from some Ivy League school said, "You're a disgrace to your race. How dare you support Donald Trump?" And of course, he was very offended. He said, "How dare you say that I have to believe in socialism and your nonsense because of my skin color?" It's pure racism to cast black people at anybody that they have to support some crazy leftist agenda because of their race.
And think how racist that is. Yeah, we have that video. We probably ought to grab that and play it next segment. I mean, that is the ultimate racist thing to say to a black person or a white person or anybody. You're a disgrace to your race when it's the human race because you're not doing what I tell you to do. That is crazy. They think they own black people.
Well, America is a great ideal. It's a country that brought together people of all races, all religions, toward a goal of free markets, free religion, building an entrepreneurial, individualistic economy where people can pursue happiness and community. And the Republican Party, the conservative agenda embodies this, and the Democrat leftist agenda is something that is becoming very anti-American.
We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going right to your calls. Right to your calls. Stay with us.
Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide. It's Alex Jones.
We've posted the trailer at InfoWarsStore.com. We're going to put banners up on the front page of the site. I'm really going to promote this film. I'm going to put some ads out as well. Because all his films are amazing. Dreams of My Real Father, his film Utopia, about the communist nightmare. No Place Like Utopia. The Art of the Insult, Standing Up to Bullies. You need to see this film. It's amazing. It's hilarious. You're going to laugh for much of 95 minutes. InfoWarsStore.com, and that helps fund our operation. No reviews yet because it just went up today. And I know we have the trailer. Let's make sure we embed the trailer or the trailer I'm going to cut for it there, because everybody needs to see the film. Okay, Joel Gilbert is our guest. Thank you for holding. George and Mike and Jason and Chris and Lee and Marcos and John and Mackenzie. We'll at least get to those calls here while we have our guest. Let's go ahead and talk to Mike in New York. You're on the air with Joel Gilbert.
Hey, what's going on? This is Mike from Queens, Donald Trump's hometown.
God bless you, brother. What's on your mind?
None. Just wanted to talk about the names, some of the names he came out with, like Larry Watson for Elizabeth Warren and John Kasich. It's really not a name, but it was pretty funny when he pointed out the fact that he was shoveling pancakes in his mouth like it was his last meal. You know, things like that are what Americans remember, you know, especially when you're out there, trying to reach people.
And that's what we need is somebody that's unconventional, not somebody that, what Joel said earlier, Trump doesn't want to be part of the establishment. He knows they're a bunch of stuffed shirts and a bunch of self-important weirdos. Trump's known for hanging out with blue-collar workers because they're fun. And, you know, that's what we need. I'm sorry, I've seen the top of Hollywood. I've seen the top of it all. It's super boring. It all sucks. Trump knows that, and that's what you need to know about Trump is that he likes to work. He likes to do things. He likes to be real. And he likes women. And, you know, everybody's sick of hypocrites, and Trump's not a hypocrite. Great point, Mike. Joel Gilbert?
Yeah, actually, there was a nickname for John Kasich besides making fun of his disgusting eating habits. Trump called Kasich 1 for 41 because he only won his home state of Ohio and insisted on staying in the race. And then he cut a deal with Ted Cruz in Indiana and told people, don't vote for Trump, vote for one of us. And that failed so miserably. Kasich and Cruz were out of the race as soon as the polls closed.
Thank you so much, Mike. But notice, a year later, Trump is delivering. I can't say anybody could be bitching at this point. But, man, what if they're able to implode the economy, Joel? What's going to happen then? Oh, my God.
Well, you could almost argue that this is the resistance. They probably cannot deal with the fact that people are going to be happy over the tax cuts and not be able to deal with all the success of the economy and the stock market. So all they're left with is shut down the government. It's hard for me to believe that it's going to stay open all year long. It's probably going to keep shutting down. They're going to prevent Trump from having a budget.
And again, China is cheerleading it, hoping we fail. And the Democrats are with the communist Chinese.
Well, shutting down the government is a resistance tactic. That's how only way they have left to keep the success of Donald Trump from permeating the American economy and the American psyche. If he stays in power and does well, the Democrat Party is finished for another generation.
Great point. Okay, let's go to Christian in Tennessee. You're on the air with Joel Gilbert. Go ahead, Christian.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, brother.
Huge fan. I got one quick point to make real quick.
Sure.
Alex, when do you plan on announcing the winner of the first annual People's Choice Award?
We are totally overwhelmed. I gave the guys a blueprint, but then I want to watch the whole thing because I want to find the guy that called and said it was turning the economy on. That's the biggest story. And then that's what Trump went with, number one. But I may just have to give it to other folks because I'm going to try to do it today or tomorrow. Thank you for reminding me. I'm sorry.
Well, you're fine. And Doug, I'm a huge fan. One of my favorite nicknames is Barry Davis Obama. And for all you people out there that want to accuse Alex of being a Jew this or a Jesuit this, Obama was tutored by Greg Galuzzo of the Gamilio Foundation, who was a Jesuit, but they had to throw in Gamilio to make it sound Jewish. And if you were a co-Jew there, Alex, you'd be a good one after 25 years.
Oh, listen, my biggest issue is I've noticed it's the left that uses the race politics and constantly invokes it. Like, the left will walk into a conservative store or a gun shop and say, do you let, K words in just to start a fight? They're the ones The left, I never heard the N-word until I went up north and was around leftists. And I'm not bashing Northerners. I'm just saying that's where I first heard it. And it's just, that's all they hype. Thank you, Christian. Let's talk to Marcos in Fort Worth, Texas. Marcos, you're on the air with Mr. Gilbert and Alex Jones. Go ahead.
I'm just trying to stay away from these PBGs, Alex.
Okay, what's a potbelly pedophile?
Potbelly goblins, potbelly pedophiles, potbelly everybody's. They're everywhere.
And again, nobody's bad if they have a potbelly. I have a little bit of one. It's that there's something about these leftists and these pedophiles. Every time they get busted, they look like, that's why I call them PBPs, yeah.
I love it. I love it. And that's the art of the insult in itself, within itself. That's the importance.
Well, it is true that these people that attack us at the leftist events look like goblins. And so I don't know why. In fact, there's a new one. It's on InfoWars. Goblin creature attacks InfoWars reporters, and he looks like a goblin.
His face like a top-ranking orc from Lord of the Rings. If you've seen the movies.
Well, you know, part of this is really sad because I mean, look. In fact, I see a caller there. George says, "Left using protests to turn unemployed against Trump." I think these are really desperate people who totally live off the system, and they think we're trying to kill them. They don't understand. Thank you, Marcos. Great points. Yeah, Goblins is a great nickname for the left, but only because it fits. I mean, see the guy that attacked me in Seattle? These new guys, they look like goblins, Joel.
Well, people remember from my Utopia film, there's a theory from the 60s from Francis Fox Piven. I'm sure you know it. It's called the weight of the poor. And what the Democrats did in New York in the mid-70s is they tried to destroy business, run business out of town, and put as many people on welfare as they could in order to crash the system. And that's how they bankrupted New York City. And that is a strategy Obama was using. He put an extra 20 million people on food stamps.
Well, that's Cloward and Piven.
Cloward and Piven put another $10 trillion in the deficit. The goal was if you can crash the system and collapse capitalism and free markets, then you can build the communist society from scratch. So all this welfare state economics, put everybody on the system, is intended to execute an evil plan upon America, not to help any individual at all. The free market system is the one that creates wealth and takes care of, in the end, poor people or people that can't take care of themselves. And Trump is reinvigorating the great American entrepreneurial spirit every day.
That's right. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and go to John in Boston, in the great city of Boston. Go ahead, sir.
Alex, it's great to talk to you from Massachusetts. I love you, man. I love InfoWars. Pray for you daily.
Thank you.
I think that it's very important for Donald Trump, if he's going to release the memo, to do it during the State of the Union address, where he has full coverage from CNN, MSNBC, and forces them into talking about it.
That is a great idea. You should talk about the abuses, the fraud, catching the FBI at the top, organizing the fraud. We have them.
The true State of the Union. Let us know everything that's going on behind the scenes rather than going out there and talking about the stock market and everything. I mean, he's done amazing things, and anybody with eyes.
No, I agree. He should open up with the positive things and thank the American people and thank the military and everybody else. And then he should get into the facts and just indict them all for criminals that tried to bring the country down.
Absolutely,
I would also
agree.
Joel?
Yeah, I would add that that's just the ongoing battle against the mainstream media, against lies, against a narrative to trick people. The mainstream media wake up every day and they say, how can we fool the people who read us and listen to us into believing in the leftist Democrat agenda? I've been through it. I even had the FEC, Federal Election Commission, try to prosecute me for making the film Dreams from My Real Father.
That was in the news, and that was in WikiLeaks. They wanted you particularly arrested, which is why we know you're a good guy and winning. Because if they're not trying to put you in jail, well, you're not on Team America. Thank you so much, John. Stay there if you got anything else. I'll come right back to John. We'll do another segment with the one and only Joel Gilbert. Get the new film at InfoWarsStore.com. Alex Jones here, back live. There's video up on InfoWars.com of Chelsea Manning showing up at the Patriot event. It was completely inclusive in New York. Jack Posobiec was there. He's coming up hosting the 4th hour. We're going to play some of that video as well. And everybody was nice to Chelsea Manning. I mean, if you want to say you're a pink reindeer, or you want to say you're an Easter bunny, or you want to say you're a woman, I don't care. Just don't try to go teach 5-year-olds that to confuse their sexual orientation, which is what the agenda of the globalist is. Everybody was nice to Chelsea Manning. Okay, aren't you a pretty girl? It was Obama put you in prison. She said that it was a horrible, racist, white supremacist event. Just to go virtue signal, I guess it's a stunt for her Senate run. And I wanted to just hit that before I go back to John and these other callers. What the sexualization of children, the pedophilia in Hollywood, the wanting to target children when they're young, the Tavistock Institute, it's all about population control and I guess just attacking the family. I'm not saying Chelsea Manning does this. Chelsea's I think, just a byproduct of this whole program. But that they're really obsessed with that. That's their next big bet, is to be tolerant. Let us teach your 5-year-old son that he's really a girl, and like Jocelyn Elder said, reach down and touch him and teach him how to do it. I mean, what's going on in the leftist diseased mind?
Well, Alex, look, Manning was a traitor. People forget that. Manning was a traitor. So was Bo Bergdahl. Both of them, Manning gets let out of prison despite a very long sentence for treason. You've got Bo Bergdahl. People died trying to find him, and he also gets off. So nothing can be more illustrative of the Obama administration, the leftist Obama mentality.
But why does Jocelyn Elders want to reach down and touch your child's? Sorry.
Well, this is the sickness of the far left ideology that goes back to the communist movement in the 60s, where Marxism is an attack against traditional society.
And B.F. Skinner.
The family unit no longer exists. We're going to put you on these collective farms, and you're all going to live in this big collective. Where you're going to produce more because you're going to be so happy that you're going to make more food and produce more crops. In China, they tried that, of course. In Ukraine, the government would show up and take all the produce, and it turns out everybody starves to death. So the whole concept to change humanity, to create a new human being that doesn't have a gender, that doesn't want to live in a traditional family, that you're just an animal living in this collective like a zoo animal, with the government being the zookeeper who controls you and everything you think. It is a anti-life death cult in the end. 150 million people were murdered in peacetime by communist regimes because they wouldn't go along with this collective, or they just starved to death on the way to utopia.
You're absolutely right. The biggest problem is so many people I know are closeted libertarians or conservatives, but they get censored or they get attacked, and they won't even have me on their shows, which I don't need to be on their shows. It's just the fact that they want to play it safe. And by playing it safe, that's why we're going to lose. If we lose, it's all these people playing it safe.
People don't understand. The never-Trumpers, I don't know how they could not understand that if Hillary won, there'd be nothing left of the United States. There'd be no more conservative movement. There'd be no more Republicans. It would be 100% leftist majority in every state, where it's just a given. You'd have all the corruption in Chicago, bankruptcy, horrible education, violent culture. They were going to bring all the devastation of Chicago and Detroit to the rest of the country. That's why anybody that was a Republican libertarian that didn't vote for Trump or doesn't understand what the stakes are out of their mind.
And they know it's a culture of corruption. They're all criminals and exempt themselves from it. They are mid-level and high-level Democrats are the criminal party. And the blue blood Republicans are a bunch of cowards that go along with it. They're even worse. Let's go ahead and talk to John in Boston. Go ahead and finish up your point, John.
Yes, Alex, it all just comes down to the fact that they worship the devil and they love the devil, and they're going to do whatever, isn't in our best interest because of that. And you look at these potbelly goblins you talk about, and the one thing they're missing is God. You look at their eyes, you can see it. They're empty, they're hollow. They don't care about anyone but themselves. And, it's just really sad. But, Trump can defeat this by going off script, like you said, not playing it safe. And I really think reading the FISA memo at the State of the Union is the way to do that.
God bless you. Absolutely. That's a great idea, isn't it, Joel?
Forget John McCain was exposed again as a Democrat by voting for Obamacare, and he's knee-deep in this whole FISA warrant thing. Jeff Flake, also from Arizona, went on the Senate floor and called Trump Stalin. He lied about what even Trump said. Trump said the fake news media was the enemy of the American people. Flake goes on the Senate floor and says that Trump said the media was. So Trump has exposed these establishment Republicans as really being Democrats. And if you go to the InfoWars store, I encourage you got to watch the film. You'll understand Trump like you've never seen him.
No, you're right, because the film's well done. It's fun. It progresses as he marches throughout the film, up to the podium, and you see the process of him winning. And it's really great tactics for all of us that kind of instinctively do this in our own lives. When somebody messes with me or lies about me, I just snap back with a funny insult, and I make it fun, and they hate that. It's the same. We're not being nasty. We're just being, oh yeah. So all of us that are successful will watch this and see Trump distilling it. That's why this film is invaluable. All your children should see this film and learn how to not let bullies hurt you, not even get in a fight with them. Slap them back with wit. And that's how you deal with them.
Yeah, Trump had the creativity. Every day in his sleep, he's falling asleep, he's waking up and tweeting, and when he hits send, they just start to go nuts, and they can't think of anything in response. All they can do is say, Trump is not very nice, and he had an affair 20 years ago. That's all they can say. They don't have an ounce of creativity, and that's why Trump is dominating them every day.
And that's why Christians forgive him, because he's not being a hypocrite either. He's not up there. It's just unbelievable. Imagine where we'd be right now, Joel, if Hillary would have gotten elected. Like you said, it'd be hell on earth right now. That woman looks like a psychotic demon. I mean, she just looks like a witch out of a movie. I mean, she looks crazy.
She was involved in abuse of power for 25 years. It's been well chronicled in book after book. Hillary had designs on eliminating every amendment after amendment, eliminating the borders. Defeating permanently any opposition to the leftist agenda. And we went through a very dangerous time. And really, Trump won a couple of states by maybe 10,000 votes. So the United States was on a very dangerous course where it would not have continued ever to be the...
I agree. Can you believe they're getting Mitt Romney out of deep freeze to run for the Senate to go after Trump?
It's disappointing to think that could happen, but let's see how things play out. The Republican base is not stupid, and they know the score. And when you watch, The Art of the Insult, you'll be inspired yourself, like you said, to stand up to all this leftist bullying.
Absolutely, and that's why the fight's just beginning, folks. I'm telling you, if you go to sleep, listeners, we're done. You are the heart of the resistance. And I salute you all, and I mean that. I salute you all, no matter what color you are, where you came from. If you want free market, if you want a future for everybody, if you're not a devil worshiper, then we're on your side. And literally, what the caller said, man, you get to the bottom of this, these are evil people. And they got a bunch of slaves following them. George in California, thanks for holding. You're on the air with Joel Gilbert. Go ahead.
It's nice to talk to you, Alex. I'm a big fan of you and your product.
Thank you.
I want to talk about the marches that happened this past weekend.
Yes.
I feel like they were used to get uninformed people. They discovered it as a women's march to get uninformed people so they could have more votes in favor of the Democrats.
Sure, it's to say we're for the women.
Yes.
We want you alone. We don't want you to have kids. We want you on welfare. We want you sterilized. We really love you.
Yeah, and I have another point to make. You guys hit close to home when you guys were talking about identity politics, because this is my first election that I voted for, and I voted for Trump. And all hell was raised when I told my parents, because my father, he's Hispanic, and he's all like, why'd you do that? You went against all the Mexicans, like, you're with the racists. And I was like, he's for America. He's for my birthplace. I was born in America. I wasn't born...
Hold on, I want to put you on hold. Don't hang up, George. I wish I'd have gone to you earlier. We're going to do 5 more minutes. We'll finish it with Joel Gilbert. I want to talk about this. My grandfather, My dad's dad was the first person, and of course my mother's dad as well. They both voted Republican. They were World War II vets. They came back. They helped put Eisenhower in office. And one of them ran for office as a Republican and won in Texas. But the point was, can you imagine? My family wasn't like racist and all that, but you were Democrats here because the Republicans had invaded the South. And you know what? He was loved a decade after he did it, but he went through hell to do the right thing, just like you just did. Jack Posobiec's coming up.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. Live from the Infowars.com studios, it's Alex Jones.
Jack Posobiec was there at the Women's March, there at their Night for Freedom, at the Antifa attack, trying to block folks coming in. These are people that want to shut our speech down, just like they do on the internet. I'll coast a little bit into the next hour with him. But George is telling a powerful story. See, here's the thing. I don't pander to people. I don't sit there. And I got family that does this, where we'll be in another part of the country or around somebody that has a different accent, and some of my family will start trying to adopt it. It drives me crazy. It's a form of virtue signaling, and they just do it to be nice. I'm going to talk like I'm going to talk. You like my culture. The truth is everybody likes different cultures. I like women that look different. I like food that's different. I want to go in the soul food restaurant and eat the black Southern food. It's really just Southern food. I want to go in the real Mexican food restaurant. Everybody likes everybody as long as there's plenty of resources. That's how humans act. We got free market. We got thousands of worlds. It's unlimited. What we don't need is domestication. Hispanics, which means from the island Hispaniola, that's funny enough what Haiti is today. It's not really Hispanic. That's the island Hispaniola's a Dominican Republic to the east and to the west, Haiti. I guess one part of the island is Hispanic. It's successful. The other is just voodoo infested in the hellhole. But the point is that isn't putting the poor people down. We're trying to fix it. Hispanics are already half the population in the U.S. below the age of 20. In another 10 years, it's a joke. It's your country. If you want it flooded by outside other third world populations who are going to be brainwashed into anti-free market and want to blow up the big free market rocket ship you got because you had kids, great. Stay Christian, have kids. Don't let them abort your kids, and don't let them sell you to the New World Order. That's the message. You like free market? You like all this? People are trying to get in here because they want what's left of it. It's unlimited if we don't blow it up. But I know what you're talking about. Leftists attack me for being a Trump supporter. I couldn't imagine what it's like in New York being, as you said, a Mexican-American who just wants to be an American. I don't say I'm a Welsh American, just an American. And to have your family come after you. So finish up your story there, George. The point is, tell your family, we are America. And the globalists are the ones exploiting it. So as our economy comes back, this is helping us. It's crazy to bring people in or have folks that were here longer than anybody else, like Mexicans, and then to not think you're not the country. It's your heritage, too. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to correct. I'm from California, and just to give you some of my background, I'm Mexican Salvadorian, but I claim to be American because I was born in San Bernardino, California.
Sure. Yeah, you're an American.
And even my mom gave me trouble last week with the whole asshole comment. She was just saying, like, how can you go for someone that said that about people from my country? And I rebutted with, well, do you want to go live in El Salvador or do you want to stay here? And she said, I would rather stay here.
Who doesn't call Haiti or other? I mean, there is crap. There's no sewage treatment. There's crap. That's why they're called that. Everybody calls it that. I mean, people in Mexico say, I don't want to go to that city. Don't go there. I've had people say, hey, should I go this town or that town? They go, oh, don't go here. It's a real asshole in Spanish. That's what you call it.
Even in El Salvador, it's like that because, the gangs are ruling over there. The government is practically ruled by the gangs over there. And I have family who have been threatened by the MS-13 or whatever gang is reigning over there. And I just don't see why people don't see that.
Yeah, and you'll be proven right. I mean, ask your family, what do you think about the prosperity? Don't you get Hillary? These people are pandering to you. They don't care about you. It's all talk. All right, brother, I'm going to say bye to Gilbert on the other side. We're back in 60 seconds. Thank you so much, George. But again, it's just like my dad's dad particularly. He knew it was the right thing to do. Civil Rights Act, all of it. He did it, like all those other people did back then. Then they turn around and call those very people racist today because they're ignorant. Jack Posobiec.
Defending the Republic from enemies, foreign and domestic. It's Alex Jones.
Jack Posobiec's going to do a great job hosting this hour. He was right there in the middle of the Night for Freedom rally that got so much international attention that Chelsea Manning showed up to, and they were super nice to, so he then made up a bunch of crap. Amazing. And I'm not going to pretend. You're a man, Manning. You got those chromosomes. I don't care if you think you're a woman and like guys. Knock yourself out, bro. But I'm not going to say you're a pink pony either if you say you're one. Just like you say we're Nazis and we're not, jackass. So, we're going to finish up with Joel Gilbert and hand the baton over with Posobiec. Just what a circus. We got so many clips we're going to play this hour as well. But briefly, since we talked about it, I got to play it one more time. Here's the trailer for Trump, The Art of the Insult. Standing Up to Bullies is my subtitle for it. That's what I'm going to call it when I put the trailer up. Directed by Joel Gilbert. He's made 4 films I've seen. They're all amazing. We carry them all. InfoWarsStore.com. No Place Like Utopia. Dreams of My Real Father. You name it. But this, he also made a film exposing the jihadists. The name escapes me. What's the name of that film?
There's 2 of them. One is Farewell Israel, and one is Atomic Jihad.
That's right. So I've seen all those, and I think we used to carry them. Wasn't it the Farewell Israel they tried to arrest you for? What was the thing in Congress that they wanted you arrested for, saying it was a campaign violation?
Well, that was Dreams of My Real Father, and it was only defeated by 3-3. Luckily, the 3 Republican commissioners on the FEC would not go along with crushing free speech. Otherwise, I would have been sent up to the Justice Department for prosecution. I'm a media outlet. I'm a documentary filmmaker. So it's well established I have a media exemption, just like CNN, just like InfoWars.
Well, no. I mean, the same chair lady, when she was previously, she wanted me arrested too, and Drudge. She said we were the 3 she singled out, and she said that we were all involved in illegal campaign operations.
That was their allegation, and luckily mine died 3-3. But it was very serious. Just because it ended 3-3. It still threw cast a chill across conservative filmmakers. Oh,
yeah, mine too, exactly. If Hillary would have got in, she'd have got another chairperson. They'd had 4. They would have us. I mean, they would put us in jail like Dinesh D'Souza.
They would add 1 more commissioner to break the ties. And anytime a complaint came against a conservative or someone expressing an opinion that was not leftist, they would have brought us up for charges and fines at the FEC, and free speech, First Amendment would just be one of many amendments that Hillary would be canceling along with the 2nd and the 10th.
And I can't believe we're just calmly talking about this. This is the left that, you know, if you try to stop their bomb making, they say you're censoring them, but they're on the streets attacking us. They're blocking us online. Europe's announcing anything conservative or libertarian or nationalist will be banned. They're working with the big tech companies to do it, the big social networks. I mean, what about Europe, though? Is Europe lost? We see a big nationalist awakening, but their response there is just to go whole hog with U.S. companies working with them to censor. Shouldn't the Justice Department, our own government, and the trust busters break them up for engaging in authoritarian activities? I mean, even though it's overseas, that's still criminal.
Look, they should have they should break them up just like they did in the late 60s, FBI, Operation Paperclip, all kind of operations to break up the radical left that were aligning themselves with the Cuban intelligence. They were taking money from terrorist groups. Bill Ayers went over to Vietnam. He went to Cuba. I have a document from the FBI that Bill Ayers took money from the Quebec.
Sanders had his honeymoon in the 70s in Moscow. Sorry.
Yeah, this is who we're dealing with. So, look, there's a book out by Douglas Murray called The Strange Death of Europe. And it talks about how only the Western leftist mentality says we need more diversity. We need more Somalians. We need more people from India. We need more people from all these third world countries. But you don't see people in India saying, you know, we need some more Texans. We're just not going to be happy unless we get some Texans here in Bombay. Or if
But I'll say this about the Indians. On average, they're the highest grossing group in the country. They're all friendly. Most of the Indians I know, in fact, every Indian I know, as I'm friends with quite a few Indian Americans, they love Trump.
Well, you've got very successful groups of people that come from other countries. The argument that Trump is making, which is the same as they do in Canada and Australia, is a merit-based system. Let's have people apply, and we'll vet people so we get people that can support themselves and create business.
Sure. Why do you think Indians, compared to all, because that's the only group that demographically votes Republican, why do you think Indian Americans like Trump so much?
Oh, the Indian Americans understand free enterprise. They understand how hard it is in a socialist system. They come from India that had many, many years of socialism and poverty, and they just see the opportunity that when the government gets out of the way, that they can prosper. So you have a very, very strong and successful and vibrant community of Indian Americans that start businesses. I have a couple of friends here in LA that are just fantastic entrepreneurs. It's just amazing what they accomplish.
I was about to say, Indians are the per capita richest group. The top 9 are Asian groups. And they are, but now the left even says, don't let them go with degrees. Have affirmative action against Asians now.
Well, it's endless the way the leftist narrative changes when it doesn't work out. Remember global warming? You don't hear that anymore. Now it's climate change. So if there's a hurricane or if the sun comes up, it's climate change, and we got to give more money to leftist causes. The narrative of the left is so bankrupt. I really believe that Americans are finding out and understanding really through the impetus of Donald Trump and him standing up to these narratives that you don't just have to accept and believe what you're being fed.
All right, Joel Gilbert, thank you so much, my friend. Come back very soon. Every time he's on, I go, we got to get this guy on more. He's so smart. Thank you, Joel Gilbert. The new film, Trump, The Art of the Insult, will be right back with Jack Posobiec. Here is the trailer for the film, available at InfoWarsStore.com.
Called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs.
Only Rosie O'Donnell. And they said that wasn't politically correct. Who cares? You haven't been called. Go back to Univision. I think Jeb is a nice person. He's very low energy. I'm not used to that kind of a person. Throw him out. Throw him out into the cold. Don't give him their coat. No coats. Lyin apostrophe. Lion dead. I have never seen a human being eat in such a disgusting fashion. The most dishonest human beings. These people right here. Look at all the cameras. So disgusting. This socialist / communist, crazy Bernie. He's crazy as a bedbug. Who, Pocahontas? The Indian?
Very offensive.
I'm sorry about that. Pocahontas? Crooked Hillary, Bob. She's been crooked from the beginning. Crooked Hillary. Politicians are really dishonest. Yeah.
Donald Trump alleges that my dad was involved in assassinating JFK.
This had nothing to do with me, except I might have pointed it out. This guy was sweating so badly. Thank God he has really large ears, the biggest ears I've ever seen, because they were protecting him. I'm trying to be nice. You know, I'm working hard to be nice. He was begging for my endorsement. I could have said, Mitt, drop to your knees. He would have dropped to his knees. He put glasses on so people will think he's smart. It just doesn't work. You know, people can see through the glasses. I'll make 3 or 4 major speeches. She makes a speech for 15 minutes. She goes home, goes to bed. We live off Chinese manufacturing. That's because when you say we, you are stupid. Repeat after me.
Donald, you're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. That's not going to happen.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
We will make America great again. Go home to mommy. Tell her to tuck you in.
All right, folks, the film available now at InfoWarsStore.com, The Art of the Insult. Jack Posobiec did a great job, ladies and gentlemen, there in New York at that big event. Jack, we're going to break in about 40 seconds, but tell us what's coming up.
We are going to talk about all about that event. We're going to talk about the amazing event that was held inside, as well as the Antifa attack that happened outside. Someone got put in the hospital, but we had Chelsea Manning inside, who was welcomed and treated fairly and politely. So you can see the contrast. You can see the difference.
Absolutely. Jack Posobiec, great patriot, and leads one of the biggest Trump groups in the election. Also got outed as a member of the Naval Intelligence, even though he was involved in the campaign that, in that hat. By the left, they say the president likes him and tweets him. He can't be a Naval Intelligence. The president can't like you and have you be an officer in the Navy.
Waging war on corruption. It's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the InfoWar.
Yeah, there's a storm on the loose, sirens in my head, wrapped up in silence, all circuit.
Folks, it's Jack Posobiec sitting in today, the big fourth hour here on InfoWars. And wow, what a weekend. What an absolutely amazing weekend we had. A weekend for liberty, a weekend for patriotism, a weekend where the lovers and defenders of this country were able to meet together, were able to rise up and face those forces that stand against us. It happened all throughout New York City. And let me tell you, those dark forces, the Antifa, the Women's March, they were out in full force to try and stop us, but they were unable to, because we uninhibited and celebratory held an amazing, super wonderful event. 1,000 people were there, lots of news, so much I want to break down. The women's event, you guys saw them all out in New York City. They said, why would you have an event the same weekend as the Women's March? And I said, because it's the time to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of our president being inaugurated, the 1-year anniversary of the day that everything began to change in America. The people came back into power to take back our White House and to take back the reins of government in the United States. That's why we held that night. And let me tell you something, folks. You know, in my speech that I delivered, actually what I did was I read Ragged Old Flag by Johnny Cash. If you guys know that one, it's an ode to our American flag. I don't even think I said the word Trump once in the entire night. And the reason for that is because this movement isn't about one man. It's not about one individual, right? President Trump, he is the one who focused all of it, but there's so much deeper meaning to what's going on. It ties back all the way to our founding. It ties back all the way to our flag. And I had to bring Johnny Cash in there. I had to set that up. But Antifa found out about the event. And so Antifa decided to crash it. And I think we've got a video here of me. I went out and confronted Antifa, and thankfully the New York Police Department, they actually set up barricades, and then there was a chain link fence where they couldn't get through to me. But you see them there on the film. They see me, they start screaming about our children. They say, send out your children. They want to see your kids. They start banging on the fence with their 2x4s. You see, when we always show up to, protests or rallies, sure, we'll bring a sign. And we'll hold it up high and say this is what our sign is. Antifa always puts their signs on 2x4s. So why do they do that? They put those on 2x4s because then they can flip them over and use them as weapons. And that's what I'm talking about there on screen. I'm saying they left weapons and they're banging them. You can see them banging them against the fence, coming at me like caged animals, screaming. Don't even know why they don't like me. They don't even know what the reason is. But I'm telling you, if the police hadn't been there, if that very fence hadn't been there, I'm only feet away, they would have come up, they would have swarmed me. It would not have gone well. So a big thank you to the New York Police Department. You can see them there as I walk behind me. And they were screaming, saying they wanted to attack our very children. They wanted to go after our children. In fact, James O'Keefe, who was attending the event, at the point where he left, they actually chased O'Keefe down the street. So when he got there, I went down, I met him, I brought him upstairs. I said, O'Keefe, glad you're here, glad you're able to come. Let's get up, let's get through security, walked him through. He had to leave, he had to bounce somewhere. But when he left, Antifa started chasing him down the street. Now, fortunately, he had a car waiting, he was able to get in, he was safe. But later on in the event, or after the event, I should say, one of our supporters, one of our guests, a 56-year-old man was leaving the event. Antifa chased him down the street, assaulted and strangled this man. That was what, and so this Antifa, 30-year-old guy, was charged with strangulation, blocking of the airway actually blocking of the airway just for attending an event, a pro-Trump event. There was a terrorist attack because remember, by the words of the classification of FBI and the Department of Homeland Security, Antifa has been classified as a terrorist organization. They loitered outside waiting to catch someone by themselves. This guy was walking. I think he was going to catch a cab or an Uber, and they assaulted him. He was strangled. Now, we've talked to the victim. The victim is secure. He went to the hospital. He was declared stable. He's actually currently recuperating and resting at home. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that he's safe. If he needs anything, we're going to take care of it. On the other hand, the terrorist who did this to him, he's going to jail. Prosecutors are already looking at it, and there's going to be big jail time associated with this attack. And hopefully we'll be able to use some of it to actually prosecute the Antifa groups, not only the man who conducted this attack, the man-child, this 30-year-old, pasty white boy, but the actual group that instigated the entire thing, and the fact that different online supporters or enemies, you should say, enemies of ours, encouraged this attack to take place. We found what happened was the location, which we kept secret, was doxed, was sent out online. There was a reporter there, and it said, and they even attacked the reporter who was there. He wasn't even someone who was on stage. He was just there reporting the event. He was recording, he was trying to tape, and they went and attacked the recorder, the guy who was just trying to tape it, the reporter. So anyone who was complicit in the instigation and the execution of this attack is going to be prosecuted. We're going to look at all of it, and New York prosecutors can see this as a slam dunk case because what it is quite simply. So there he is, David Campbell, Crown Heights, Brooklyn. Crown Heights, by the way, is not one of the poorer areas of Brooklyn. That is a very well-to-do area. So this guy, I don't know if his rich parents are paying his way, but you always see that with these Antifa types, right? And then they come and they see us, and he doesn't even know who this person is, who he was assaulted. He wasn't one of the speakers. He wasn't someone who was there espousing support for Trump or anything. He just went to an event. He literally just went to an event, and yet that was enough for these Antifa terrorists to go and attack him, to go and assault him, to literally put him in the hospital. Put into the hospital in New York City. United States of America, American soil, for attending an event for freedom. That's where we are at this point. That's where we are, that someone gets put into the hospital because you went to a night to support freedom. Well, no more, because it's against the law, and the groups that are perpetuating this type of terrorism, this type of violence, need to be stopped. They need to be investigated, they need to be prosecuted, and they need to be put behind bars. We've always stood for peace, and I thank God that the NYPD were there, because if they hadn't stopped him, the choking, the strangulation, who knows what would have happened after this. So I was actually inside when this happened. It says that at one point he actually even tried to put a police officer in a headlock. Let me tell you something. When you try to put the NYPD in a headlock, you're going to lose that fight. Let me tell you right now. Sorry, Antifa, you're going to lose that fight. And this guy, David Campbell, he lost that one. You don't go up against the NYPD and try to put him in a headlock. Not a good idea. But I wanted to take a second really quick. Here we are at the end of the segment to let you guys know about a great new product that's just out from InfoWars Life, and it's called Pollen Block. It's this incredible product. So because it's new, it's the introductory price. It's $17, $17.76. Get it, $17.76, 50% off. And it's all about pollen season, folks. We hate it when pollen season starts. It's constantly attacking our sinuses. We feel like we have no choice. We got to, do you want to stay indoors the entire time? No, you go out, you can use the Pollen Block. It will support you with that seasonal discomfort. It's going to help support healthy sinus function, respiratory function, clear your airways, and allow you to have normal breathing. It's so great as we go into this season. The quail egg concentrate is where it comes from. And it's amazing to have this seasonal product now available at InfoWars Life. So make sure you guys go and check out Pollen Block. We'll be right back.
You gotta keep them separated.
We now take you live to the Central Texas Command Center and the heart of the resistance.
Like a
What's going on, folks? Jack Posobiec here. Big fourth hour breaking down all the news that happened over the weekend. Huge weekend, New York City. Everything was going down at a night for freedom. Over 1,000 patriots there. We had such an incredible night. We had live music. We had DJs. We had dancing. We had Stefan Molyneux gave an amazing speech. Gavin McInnes was there. I got up. Mike Cernovich, of course, running the entire show. But there was one guest, one special guest, not a speaker, not someone who was featured, but one guest, just an attendee really of the event, who caused a lot of controversy all of a sudden all over the left-wing media sphere. The left wing was having conniption fits over this one. We didn't really understand why. We didn't understand what was going on or what was wrong with it, because all of a sudden at our event, people started turning around and saying, "Hey, Jack, is that Chelsea Manning over there?" And I looked, and sure enough, there was Chelsea Manning at the event. And I said, wow, look at that. So we looked into it, and what basically happened was, so Chelsea Manning ended up coming to the event, and we said, you know what? We're the tolerant side. We don't have a problem with someone coming and wanting to come to our event. And so fine, come on in, have a nice time at the event, enjoy the party. Maybe you can learn something, right? Maybe you can pick up something that you can take back and talk to your friends on the left about. Because again, we're always told to be tolerant, right? We're always told by the left that you guys need to be more tolerant, and you guys need to be more accepting, and you guys need to be more open. We said, fine, all right, sure. Somebody wants to come to our event, doesn't want to crash it, doesn't want to protest it, wants to just come, attend, listen, and we said, fine, no problem whatsoever, more than welcome to come in. And Chelsea, throughout the event, and if you ask anybody who was there, was treated politely and was treated fairly. However, once news broke, the left went into conniption fits, saying Chelsea Manning is some kind of Russian plant. Chelsea Manning is some racist, neo-Nazi, secret, cryptocurrency. I don't even know what kind of thing. They were losing their minds that Chelsea would attend our event. So then Chelsea posted this thing up that I crashed the fascist white supremacist hate brigade party. Selfies were denied. Well, no, actually the selfies were denied because nobody wanted to bother you. Nobody wanted to mess with you. You didn't crash it. You actually just attended the event. You had a ticket. You were invited, and nobody had a problem with you being there whatsoever. So you know what? Fine. You're going to call us. You're going to lie about us. You're going to say things like that, stab us in the back after we invited you in and had a nice time with you. You know what? That's for you to do. But I would say not very classy. Not a very classy thing to do when someone invites you in and treats you with respect. Because that's what we're taught about so much, right? We're told respect people who disagree with you. We happen to be Trump supporters. We're not white supremacists. We're not neo-Nazis. We're not fascists. We're Trump supporters who love liberty and love our country, right? But apparently that's not good enough for sometimes. But I would say simply contrast that with what happened before. They said confront your enemies face to face. Okay, well, you confronted us. Anything specifically to say, anything specifically that you disagreed with, let's have that conversation. Let's not lie about each other. Let's not attack each other. Let's have that conversation. Because which side was the tolerant side now? So inside, Chelsea Manning came in, a figure of the left, as we all know, came in, and everybody was polite. Everybody was respectful. Everybody was completely cool with it. They said, fine, you want to come and listen to our event? Listen. Maybe you get red pilled. Maybe here's something you like. Maybe you can stand up for the American flag, right? However, when our attendees go outside and are met with people from Antifa goes and assaults them in the streets and puts them in the hospital after choking them and trying to choke police officers. So again, tell me which side. You could see it right there for the one simple event, right? Look at the optics of this. These people outside with the 2x4s, with the weapons, banging on the chain link fence, screaming that we want to kill your children, that we want your kids, right? Putting our people in the hospital. This is me getting that close to them, putting my own life in jeopardy. Chelsea Manning comes in, no problem whatsoever. Chelsea Manning comes in, doesn't get put in the hospital, doesn't get choked out, doesn't get punched, gets to have a drink and sit down and listen to people talk and listen to some music. That's what happened to Chelsea Manning when she attended our event. So a room full of Trump supporters, full of veterans like myself, who certainly disagree with leaking classified information and certainly disagree with stealing government documents to do so, is treated fairly. And that's what we're all told. Isn't that what we're all told? The golden rule, right? The golden rule. Treat people the way you wish to be treated. That's what I thought I was respecting. That's what we all thought we were respecting. Isn't that what the media tells us? But no, the left doesn't like when anybody doesn't go along with the tribalism, doesn't go along with the screaming, doesn't go along. If you have to stay on your side and you're not allowed to cross that line, and if you do, it's got to be a confrontation, and you've got to be screaming in the face, and you've got to be yelling at them. Look what happened when Owen went to see the women's march. Look at the way they treated Owen, the screaming, the yelling, right? You can't be polite. No, that's the culture that they want to foster. That's the culture of aggression. That's the culture of anger and screaming and at each other's throats and the violence in the streets of Antifa, which happened later in the evening. That's the culture that gets pushed down. The aggression, the violence, the madness, the derangement, right? We call it Trump derangement syndrome. So which side? And you look at some of these people, they're wearing the pink hats. There's people dressed up in all sorts of different costumes. They don't even know why they're protesting. They don't even know why. And you see this guy, all the black, about to attack, literally jabbing people with that camera, jabbing people with his boom mic, trying to get in people's face, trying to provoke a violent altercation, right? That's what they do. They try to get you to swing first, and then you say, aha. And there it is. There's the swipe, right? That's him breaking. That's him breaking and getting violent with someone he's probably never even met before. And probably if they met in a coffee shop, would actually sit down and be able to sit next to each other and have no problem whatsoever with each other. You know, Owen and I were walking down the street later after the event. We were going to grab a bite to eat at the diner up towards Times Square from where the event was. And, we're walking down the street and he had that same Trump scarf on. And somebody came up to him and on the side of the street and said, hey, man, you guys are going to get jumped if you dress like that. And we said, like, what, with suits? And he pointed at the scarf and said, and we thought, you are so triggered by someone's scarf that you feel that you have to get violent because you didn't like his scarf, because his scarf triggered you that much. That's the brittle, soft, thin-skinned, right, anger and vitriol of the left, because they can't stand the fact that Trump won and that they've been pushed further and further into this madness. And it's brainwashing is what it really is. It's brainwashing to think that Trump is somehow getting rid of the freedoms in this country when really all he's doing is lowering taxes, deregulating business, letting the stock market go up, letting everyone's retirement get better. That's what President Trump is doing. Yet the left are told that he's some kind of Russian plant, Manchurian candidate, and he must be stopped. And if you see a Trump supporter, well, you've got to go beat him in the streets. You've got to go attack them. But we don't see that from the Trump supporters ourselves. You don't see that whatsoever. So I'll put that up in front of anybody else. I'll say, show me a conservative speaker at a liberal campus and see how they're treated at UC Berkeley, at Columbia, the numerous times this has happened. However, let's now see an icon of the left, Chelsea Manning, whose sentence was commuted by Obama, right? An icon of the left who comes into a Trump event and is treated warmly and is treated fairly. That is the proof, ladies and gentlemen. That is the proof that we can take the moral high road, that we are the tolerant side, that we are the side that stands for freedom of speech, that we are the side that actually understands that you have to talk to people, even if people that you don't like, even people that you disagree with, that we can still actually have a conversation, because that's what freedom of speech means. Sure, we'll beat you, but we'll beat you at the ballot box, and we'll beat you peacefully in an election. We're not going to take our violence into our hands, right? We're not going to take it into our hands and assault you and beat you down. That is the difference, and that is why we've always stood for peace, and we always will stand for peace. And Antifa, they're going to be going to jail. Every single one of them that was connected to this attack. More after the break.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
Jack Posobiec back, rounding out the big fourth hour here, and we actually have breaking news from Washington, D.C. So I'm here in Washington, D.C. Got down from New York this weekend, but The government was shut down over the weekend. And I just have a quick question for everyone out in the listening audience, everyone within the sound of my voice. Did you notice? Did you notice that the government was apparently shut down for 3 days? I didn't notice. I didn't really notice very much. Didn't notice any difference. I may have felt a little freer. I felt like I may have had a little bit more liberty over the weekend. Kind of say that was nice, but yeah, didn't really find any major significant impact in my day-to-day life from the government being shut down. Pretty much seemed like everything that affected us and affected our lives was still there. But the Democrats that led this shutdown, led by Chuck Schumer in the U.S. Senate, they've caved. They've completely and utterly caved. They've dropped. We've got the 60 votes. The government shutdown is over. They've totally caved to completely and utterly give Trump everything that he wanted. What did they get out of it? Nothing. They blinked. They tried to go into an eye-to-eye stare with the president, the man who wrote Art of the Deal. Why would you try to hard negotiate with the man who wrote Art of the Deal? Honestly, the man is a best-selling author who's most known for tough negotiation. You don't try to do that. You assume he is going to beat you, and then you just try to skip that part and actually talk about what you can get out of the deal. You don't try to do the hard negotiation because he destroys you. And Schumer, oh my goodness. You know, people were saying, boy, I thought Steve Bannon had a bad January. Schumer, he goes, hold my vodka. This guy tried to go toe-to-toe with the deal maker in chief, and he lost. He embarrassed himself. He embarrassed the Democrat Party. 81 votes they just got on the motion to get rid of this thing because they all thought, even his own party realized what stupid of an idea this was, and they were completely destroyed because here's the thing. The Democrats, what was their talking point throughout the entire time? It was DACA, right? They kept talking about DACA, 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 DACA. We need DACA. We've got to help DACA. And Trump, on the other hand, and everyone on the right turned around and said, so you're putting illegal immigrants over the needs of the American citizens that you actually represent in Congress. You know, your job, the people who pay your wages, who pay your salary, who pay for your junkets around the world. Those are the people. No, you're not representing them. You're representing illegal immigrants. You're fighting for the rights of illegal immigrants. And that's why you've decided to shut down the government. Even the New York Times admitted that it was the Democrats who shut down the government. So when even the New York Times is calling you out, you know you've done something a little bit foolish. And Schumer, I mean, his negotiating tactic, I don't quite understand what it is. It's we're going to shut down the government, hold the government hostage, and then get nothing in return, give the Republicans everything they want, give Trump everything he wants, and walk away like cowards? Not exactly sure that's the kind of face you want to be showing when you're in a midterm election year and you're trying to show leadership. There's a great line from Schumer as well. He said, well, in the negotiations, I couldn't understand what was going on. We would sit down with Trump and first he would say one thing, then he would say something else that would sound like he completely flip-flopped and disagreed with what he said before. He said this thing, he said that thing. It was completely confused, had no idea what was going on. And then Schumer left the president's, I guess, the Oval Office and had no idea what was going on because, guys, that's what Trump does. He wrote a book about this. You could have read it. It's at like $19.95. It's $20. You guys, you make more than that per diem. Go buy a copy of Art of the Deal, but you won't because you're lazy and you're stupid because you don't understand what it's like dealing with the master negotiator like President Trump. He wanted you to be confused. He does the exact same thing with foreign relations, where he says things that make you think he's a madman, and he is a madman, don't get me wrong. But when he says these things, he wants you confused. And they said, well, he doesn't understand the negotiations. Well, he said 10 different topics. We have no idea what the president wants. Exactly. He wanted you to think that. And they said, we can't talk to this guy. This guy's nuts. We'll go talk to McConnell. And McConnell says, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to open the government. You guys are going to stop standing up for illegal immigrants. And then you're going to go home. And they said, fine. And so the left is losing their minds at Schumer. They're saying, how could you do this? You put the entire credibility of our party on the line for this. And you folded. He folded like a cheap suit. Should have read Art of the Deal. Should have read Art of the Deal, Chucky boy. That's all I got to say. I don't understand this tactic. If there's a name for it, you call it the Schumer strategy, I guess. The Schumer strategy is you hold the government hostage and then you give up without asking for anything in return. Not exactly sure how you win at poker when all of your and when you lose every hand of cards and you always lose the bets. Not exactly sure how that's a winning strategy, Chuck. And I've got to give a huge hand to our president here, because this shows the power of Donald Trump, the man, not just the president, but Donald Trump, the man, when it comes to these types of negotiations, which he's known for throughout New York, where he's known for being the best. And people used to laugh. People used to laugh when Trump supporters said they'd get sick of winning. And there you go. Boom. The Wall Street Journal admitting that it's called the Schumer surrender. We've got the Schumer, first we had the Schumer shutdown, and now we got the Schumer surrender. See, that alliteration always works, by the way. It always works when you can use that alliteration. It's catchy. Schumer shutdown, Schumer shutdown. It sticks in your head. Now that I've said it a few times, you can't stop thinking about it because it's that great. And now Schumer surrender. It's getting me. Schumer surrender. That's a bit of a tongue twister. Say it 10 times fast. I don't think you can. That's what the president does. He gets into these negotiations and he wins. He brings home a win for the American people first. It's America first. President said that he agrees that we should come up with a way to deal with the Dreamers fairly, that they should be vetted, that it should be gone through and looked on a case-by-case basis, and that they should be treated fairly and compassionately. And I think most people would say yes, that's fair, that we have to look to see, are there people who have committed crimes? Well, they need to go first. Are there people that, what are they doing here? Are they living off of welfare? Are they starting businesses? Those people, all of those things need to be looked at, right? He already was going to do it. He was going to do it anyway. He had told the Democrats that, but then last week they completely blew up these negotiations because Durbin came out and started making these crazy statements, and the president said, fine, you know what? I don't need to talk to you people. You guys are going to lie about me. You're going to mischaracterize what I said in a private meeting. You're going to operate and negotiate in bad faith. Then I don't need to talk to you, and I'm done. That's how you negotiate, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you negotiate. And just as a quick thing to kind of put out here towards the end of this, because I know it's been in the news so much over the weekend, talking about these FBI text messages that supposedly the FBI lost 5 months, right? Probably thousands of text messages between Peter Strzok and his mistress, right? Lisa Page, his Jezebel, if you were. They lost 5 months of this from these. And keep in mind, the media keeps calling them, oh, he's just an agent. He's just an FBI agent. No, he's the deputy director of the counterintelligence division. This is someone who does false flags off-co for a living. He does these type of operations. He knows how all of this stuff works. And I've got to say, the FBI technical system, so that means they lost it on his BlackBerry, her BlackBerry, the system that actually runs the router that runs the text messages, and the archive server as well, all lost the text messages at the same time somehow. Folks, we know what that means. Unless the only explanation that I would accept at this point, that who was running your IT? The Awan brothers? Couple of nice Awan brothers out of Pakistan, like we had with Ted Lieu and Debbie Wasserman Schultz over at the DNC side. Well, or maybe we could actually ask the Awan brothers. Maybe they do actually have these text messages. So people are smelling it for what it is, and they say this is fishy and it stinks, because they know that all of the text messages that have come out so far, they talk about an insurance policy. They talk about Lynch knowing that there were going to be no charges against Clinton. How would you know that before the investigation ended? Now, my sources, people I've talked to in DC, state that what is in those missing text messages is absolutely damning for them and for the FBI and these agents, the deputy director of the counterintelligence division, who was running the Russia investigation, who was running the Hillary email investigation, that it talks about potentially another further insurance policy that could be used against President Trump. And the time period, and this is key, the time period that they're missing was the transition period and the first days of the Trump administration. There you go. Hillary Clinton, emails deleted. NSA, emails deleted. FBI, text messages deleted. Imagine going to the FBI when you're under investigation saying, I'm sorry, I deleted all of those records that you guys wanted. Right? Try telling that to the IRS in April. I'm so sorry, I deleted all of my receipts for this year, but don't worry about it. There's nothing in there. Folks, that is the deep state right there telling you that they are losing, that they are on the ropes, because Trump And this movement of new nationalism and new patriotism that's sweeping the land is pushing back against them. They know their hour is up. They know they're reaching the end of the line, and it's because of the info warriors and people like you listening today. Thank you so much for listening. Jack Posobiec. Catch me on Twitter.
You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.